What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 14 BT 370th chapters took off as 5th team. After the 4th squad took all the wounded away, the biggest turmoil in the Soul Society had subsided. Because Kurosaki Ichigo and others were also considered to be meritorious in the Aizen incident, they also received the same treatment as being treated by the 4th squad. They became guests of the Soul Society directly from the travel disaster. Rukia Kuchiki's crimes were also pardoned directly. After all the 46 rooms were slaughtered, and the orders were all issued by Aizen. She herself is not guilty of death. This turmoil discovered many hidden problems of the Soul Society, and the captain, Mr. Yamamoto, had been holding meetings with the nobles for several days. One is the explanation of the Aizen incident, and the other is Namikaze Minato, the new captain of the 5th team. Sure enough, this matter was severely resisted by the nobles, so it's no wonder they would agree. Now the 46 room is going to be reselected. In Go-Day 13, there are also vacancies for 3 captains. How could it be easily let go? Even if there is only one captain's seat, they don't want to give it away. The nobles are not just a family, the 3 captain positions are not enough, and now one of them will be taken away by an unknown Shinigami. This directly affects their interests, how could they agree? But Mr. Yamamoto is also not a vegetarian. The nobles want to insert their hands into Go-Day 13. This is a fact. There are no nobles in the 13th team. You know, Byakuya Kuchiki is an aristocrat, and likewise, isn't Toshiro? To a certain extent, Mr. Yamamoto can compromise. He can understand that the nobles are worried about their power, but Go-Day 13 was always established by him, and it must not be allowed to completely control it. So on a rare occasion, Mr. Yamamoto lost his temper. From the very beginning, Go-Day 13 and these nobles of Jinglingding have been in a cooperative relationship. But as time goes by, they have completely integrated into each other, and these nobles have even forgotten that Mr. Yamamoto is not a soft persimmon. The strongest and oldest Shinigami for thousands of years, no kidding. Seeing that Mr. Yamamoto's pupils were about to burst into flames, these nobles began to compromise like eggplants beaten by frost. Advertisement in the end, Namikaze Minato will be approved as the captain of the 5th team. No way, they don't want to push Mr. Yamamoto too fast, old aristocrats, but it's all about how fierce Mr. Yamamoto was thousands of years ago. It is estimated that except for a few people, the others are considered strong in front of the captain, not to mention forcing him to show his true strength. After the meeting with the nobles, Mr. Yamamoto returned to Go-Day 13. After several days of recuperation, the captains who were seriously injured have almost recovered, and there must be no problem walking around. Mr. Yamamoto directly called all the captains to the meeting room, and Namikaze Minato came with him. The captains consciously stood on both sides, and Namikaze Minato also cooperated very well, standing directly with Toshiro and Toshiro, who looked pleasing to the eye. I have to say that Toshiro, who has a serious face, has frowned a little more since the Aizen incident. Each team leader is looking at Namikaze Minato, although they have met before, but they are not familiar with each other, and the transfer order has not been issued in the past few days. So Namikaze Minato has been drinking tea in Sister Hua's 4th team. Now that I can observe closely, of course I will take a closer look. You know, Namikaze Minato is a ruthless person in their eyes. How strong Aizen is, you can see Madara in the sky. The confrontation with the captain, although it was only for a short moment, did not fall into a disadvantage. The same is true for Namikaze Minato, who fought the captain to the end and even almost forced out the captain Bankai Zanpakuto. With this kind of strength, none of the captains present dared to say that they could fight with him. Of course, Sister Hua was an exception. Soon, Mr. Yamamoto walked out slowly. Captains, salute to the chief captain. Everyone, the worst time ever happened to the Soul Society a few days ago. The 3 captains, Aizen Sosuke, Ichimaru Jin, and Tusen Kanami, defected. This incident not only caused us heavy losses, but also reminded us that peace will not last long. Advertisement, now they have fled to Hueco Mundo. Not surprisingly, it will cause a lot of follow-up troubles in the future, so after a while, I will set up a Hueco Mundo exploration team, mainly to find traces of Aizen and others. I have already reported to the top management. Starting tomorrow, I will officially appoint Namikaze Minato as the captain of the 5th division. This matter has become a fact and cannot be changed. Then tell all Go-Day 13, the appointment of the 5th division captain. As soon as this remark came out, the expressions of the other captains did not change at all. After all, their team's vice captains were also chosen by themselves. Do you want to use power wantonly just after taking office? Mr. Yamamoto looked at Namikaze Minato's handsome face, thought for a moment and said, Captain Namikaze, do you have any questions? F.E. Namikaze Minato nodded. Don't worry, how could I do that kind of forcing others? After all, I am the most reasonable person. Wait a minute, I have a problem with the 550. The sudden sound made everyone look at the past, and found that the person who made the sound was the party of the captain of the 5th team. Of course, the strength must be able to convince the public, otherwise, being challenged and then defeated, what face is there to be the deputy captain? Hearing this, Mr. Yamamoto nodded. From today onwards, you are the captain of the 5th division. Of course, you are responsible for all matters in the team, and the appointment of the team members is also fully entrusted to you. However, the 5th division team is also more suitable. Who knows if there is any backup left by Aizen? Originally, when this matter was announced, the team leader below seemed to be ready to make comments, but Mr. Yamamoto's last sentence obviously made them dispel this idea. It's like this, old man, I don't know if I can choose the members of the 5th team and the vice captain by myself? Listening to what Mr. Yamamoto said, every captain's face is serious, only Namikaze Kirito still maintains that indifferent look. Although the chief captain is usually the type who is calm and talkative, but once there is something that needs to be ordered, he will be domineering and will never let anyone disobey his orders. After talking about Aizen, Mr. Yamamoto looked at Namikaze Kirito who was looking at the ceiling boredly. The corners of the captain's lips twitched, they had never seen such a brazen person. But if you want to transfer someone from another team, you have to look at the wishes of the person involved. Chapter 377 Meeting Toshiro again. Okay, since there is no objection to the appointment of Namikaze Kirito as the captain of the 5th team, then the matter is finalized. Boom. Mr. Yamamoto hit the crutch in his hand directly on the ground, making a crisp sound. Yes. How can the team captains have any opinions at this time? They can only claim yes, thinking to themselves, we do have opinions, but you don't let me mention them. After finishing talking about Namikaze Kirito, Mr. Yamamoto continued. There are also those accidents in this world, breaking into the Soul Society, rescuing Rukia, and wounding Captain Kuchiki and Zaraki. Captain, please let me say a few words. Before Mr. Yamamoto finished speaking, Jashiro stood up directly. The captain was not angry when his words were interrupted. He only became domineering when it came to big issues, and he didn't care about interrupting his words at all. In fact, Jashiro has no choice. He dare not let Mr. Yamamoto continue talking. Who knows what kind of sanctions will be announced against Kurosaki Ichigo and others. If he waited until the other party finished speaking, it would be a certainty, so he stood up directly. Kyoraku Shunsui on the side didn't have any surprises on his face. In his eyes, Jashiro is such a nice guy. Captain, and everyone, although Kurosaki Ichigo and the others broke into the Soul Society and disrupted Sokyoku's execution, the order was not issued by the 46th room, and we were driven around by Aizen. Once the execution of Rukia Kuchiki is really carried out, it will be in the hands of Aizen. In addition, they delay the time until we appear. For the Soul Society, it can be regarded as a meritorious minister. Now it's time for servants. From the fact that Kurosaki Ichigo was able to tie with the captain, we know that his combat power is not bad. We also need such a person. While Jashiro was speaking, no one interrupted him. For a while, he was usually a good-natured person who made good friends with many captains. No one will go against Jashiro just because of a travel accident. For them, it really doesn't matter how Kurosaki Ichigo handles it. After listening to what Jashiro said, Mr. Yamamoto said, do you want Kurosaki Ichigo to be the agent of Shinigami? That's right. Jashiro nodded. The Soul Society has precedence after all. Adding another one now is not a violation of the rules. Advertisement, is Shinigami an agent? The captains are actually no strangers to this name. Let those humans who have received the power of Shinigami for special reasons form the power of Shinigami. But in Soul Society, this Shinigami proxy certificate is not a good thing. Namikaze Kirito looked at Jashiro with an inexplicable look. This guy, although a nice guy, now wants to help Kurosaki Ichigo have a legitimate identity. But the Shinigami proxy certificate, everyone present should know the danger. Not only can they monitor the owner's movements at any time, but can even suppress their Ryotsu, and carry out sneak attacks at critical moments. Putting it on your body is like a ticking time bomb. If it weren't for the original book, in the Shinigami Agent chapter, Kurosaki Ichigo knew the news through Yinchung, and he probably would have been kept in the dark for the rest of his life. Ryotsu has been suppressed all the time. It is conceivable that he can still explode, just wait for death. Treating this proposal, the captain nodded. Obviously, he also agreed with this proposal. It's not that these captains are all wary of Kurosaki Ichigo, but that Soul Society is not a place of truth, goodness and beauty at all. Dealing with nobles and those Sui or Rukongai's souls all day long, it's strange that there are normal people. Both proposals have been passed, and today's memory is officially over, and Namikaze Kirito still needs to get Captain Haori. But he doesn't have the habit of putting another layer of clothes on top of the windbreaker. Looking at Chunshui, isn't he also wearing a kimono on the outside? Then directly change Ryatsu's form, so that a blood red 5 character appears on the back of his windbreaker. Don't ask about such trivial matters, the captain will definitely agree, but the captains are more or less surprised at the scene where Namikaze Kirito can manipulate the transformation of the dead bully outfit. After the memories are over, as Shinigami who is most familiar with Namikaze Kirito, it must be Sister Wa who leads the way to the 5th team. Sister Wa, by the way, is my 5th division far from your place? On the way, Namikaze Kirito turned to Unohana Retsu and asked. It's not far, what's the matter? Mr. Kirito, haven't you had enough tea? Sister Wa smiled softly. Yes, there is a place to drink tea for free, accompanied by a beautiful woman like Sister Wa, why not do it? Advertisement, it's nice to be able to make you happy. Originally, if other people were ridiculed like this, not to mention blushing, there would be someone like Yoruichi who would come up and punch him directly, but Sister Wa is completely different. It's impossible for her not to hear such obvious ridicule, but even if she did, she didn't have much reaction. There is also Hinamori Momo, who has just recovered from a serious injury, and the three are talking about something. Toshiro apparently didn't like the familiar Namikaze Kirito. Only Hinamori Momo bit her lower lip with her white teeth, and looked at Namikaze Kirito secretly. Seeing Namikaze Kirito coming in, Toshiro's eyes were icy cold, while Matsumoto Rangaku's beautiful eyes were filled with words of interest. Even the members of the 5th team have been under investigation by various departments these days, fearing that they are the hidden sons left by Aizen. They talked and laughed along the way, and soon came to the fifth team. Aizen, who had a disguise before, was the captain, and the fifth team is a favorite existence of everyone. After all, Aizen in disguise is simply good, otherwise how could Hinamori Momo fall in love like that? This is Sister Wa, who doesn't like a gentle woman with a dark belly. This made Namikaze Kirito a little puzzled, wondering what the hell was going on with the ignorant woman in front of him. But now the fifth squad is completely silent, the vice-captain just recovered from a serious injury, and the captain directly became the biggest traitor of the Soul Society. In the face of such a flower sister, Namikaze Kirito became more interested. The three of them immediately greeted each other. Namikaze Kirito looked at the vigilant Toshiro with interest, and said softly, "Xiaobai, why are you looking at me so hostilely?" After Sister Wa brought Namikaze Kirito, Zhao Lihao, into the door, she happened to see old acquaintances, Toshiro and Matsumoto Rangaku, this little boy Yuji combination. It can be said how beautiful it was before, but how miserable it is now. Captain Hitsugaya, Vice-Captain Matsumoto. Shut up, who gave you permission to call me Xiaobai? Captain Yunohana. It's like letting you punch the cotton, and you don't get a response at all. Chapter 378 Don't need this kind of awful. Our relationship is not that familiar, Toshiro said coldly. He is not in a good mood now, which leads to him who usually has a face of ice cubes, but now he has a bit of bitterness and hatred. Only when facing Hinamori Momo can he see his worried emotions. In modern times, Toshiro is a proper dog-licking type. Facing his cold tone, Namikaze Kirito didn't pay any attention to it, instead, he stepped forward and reached out to rub his fluffy hair. As a result, Toshiro seemed to sense his movement, and in a flash, he used Shunpo to come to Hinamori Momo's side, watching Namikaze Kirito vigilantly. It's so cold, Shiro. Ah, no, Captain Yuki, Namikaze Kirito teased. A person like you, I don't know why the captain let you become the captain of the fifth team. I advise you, it's best not to do anything that endangers the Soul Society, or if I catch you, I will definitely arrest you. Stand up. It seems that because of his own emotions, when he was speaking, Toshiro's body exuded an extremely icy chill. Tisk tisk. I can't help it, the captain insists on me being the captain. I don't care. Hey, Namikaze Kirito sighed helplessly. His expression only made Toshiro's inner disgust worse. Captain Namikaze 387, and Captain Hitsugaya, I hope you can get along well. Sister Wa put her jade hand on the handle of the knife without knowing when and said with a kind face. As soon as she spoke, Namikaze Kirito shuddered directly. This kind of evil ghost temperament is really inexplicable and has nothing to do with strength. Toshiro was similar, the cold air that came out disappeared immediately, and he even made a forced smile. Of course, this smile is not much better than crying. Vice-Captain Hinamori, from now on I will be the captain of the fifth squad, thank you, call all the players out. Namikaze Kirito walked to the chair in the courtyard and sat down, and began to give orders like a grandfather. Seeing this scene, Yunohana Retsu rubbed her white forehead helplessly. She knew that Namikaze Kirito's character would not be so arrogant. There must be a reason for doing so, not to mention that this is the fifth team. With what the captain personally said, Namikaze Kirito is responsible for all internal affairs, so who can say more? Just because Sister Wa has no opinion, it doesn't mean that Toshiro has no opinion. Advertisement seeing this scene, he couldn't bear it. Namikaze Kirito, Hinamori's injury is just right, and it's not suitable to act now. Aren't you the captain of the fifth team? Go get the team members assembled yourself. At this moment, the smile on Namikaze Kirito, who was still smiling before, disappeared and was replaced by an indifferent expression. Captain Hitsugaya. This is my fifth team. You should thank me for letting you stand here. If you interfere with me again, I promise, you will go out sideways. Of course, Sister Wa is here. You must not will die, believe me. Namikaze Kirito. Toshiro hated the man in front of him. The usual maturity and calmness are completely gone. When facing Hinamori Momo, he is still the same irritable kid as before. Seeing that Toshiro's anger is getting bigger and bigger, Hinamori Momo hastily stood up. Xiaobai, don't quarrel with Captain Namikaze. Here is the fifth team to gather the players, what I should do. After reassuring Toshiro, Hinamori Momo saluted Namikaze Kirito, then turned and started to assemble the team. But Toshiro and Matsumoto Rangaku obviously had no intention of leaving, and chatted with Sister Wa on their own. Faced with such a thing, Namikaze Kirito didn't care. Not long after, the members of the 5th Division came out of the team building scatteredly, each of them had a depressed and sloppy expression on their faces. Obviously, the betrayal of good old man, Aizen Sosuke not only made them unable to lift their heads in front of other teams, but also left a deep crack in their hearts. CJAH, Captain Namikaze. The team members are assembled, and the Vice-Captain Hinamori Momo leads the team to report to you. Hinamori Momo bowed to Namikaze Kirito and said loudly. Looking at the dejected players, Namikaze Kirito sat on a chair and didn't intend to stand up at all. He said lazily, is this all the team members? Seeing Namikaze Kirito's performance, Hinamori Momo's eyes flashed a hint of dissatisfaction, but he still said solemnly. Some players are not feeling well, they're in the team building, and they haven't gone out for missions recently, the rest. I ask you, is this the whole team? Advertisement? Hearing this, Hinamori Momo gritted her teeth, not knowing what Namikaze Kirito meant. Toshiro on the side was about to speak when Matsumoto Rangaku stopped him. It's better to wait and see what happens. After all, even the captain can't go too far. I don't admit it. Why should such a guy be our captain? Compared with Captain Aizen, he is far behind. Captain, I. A crimson beam of light appeared from Namikaze Kirito's finger, directly blasting the teammate who spoke. Hearing Namikaze Kirito's words, the Shinigami of the 5th Division all looked at him in disbelief. It seemed that he was doubting his own ears. Or, the captain ordered you to choose to resist? Namikaze Kirito looked at the players with a teasing smile. One of the team members yelled ferociously, and even pulled out Zanpakuto after shouting, I want to challenge you. If I win, the captain's position will be vacant, and when Captain Aizen returns. 31 of Hado, Red Cannon, Vice Captain Hinamori, didn't you understand what I said? Deny. Obviously, this newly appointed captain has a volatile temper, and has the strength to confront the captain head-on. If his young captain is found out, he might be upset. As soon as Hinamori Momo opened her mouth, Namikaze Kirito knew what she wanted to say, and it was nothing more than some words of pleading. He didn't want to hear such words, and he didn't need to hear them. Seeing that Hinamori Momo did not speak, Namikaze Kirito stood up, looked at the members of the 5th team, and said, Okay, I think you all know that I am the new captain. My name is Namikaze Kirito. You guys, I don't need your name. Report it to me. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not interested at all. Next, I announce that your first task is to throw out those who are not feeling well in the team building. The 5th Division team does not need this kind of trash. Boom. What? Chapter 379. This is a big problem, tilde. No one thought of this change. It was not until the team member flew upside down that everyone reacted. UB asterisk 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 D. Toshiro couldn't bear it anymore at this time. He directly pulled out the Zanpakuto from his waist and rushed over. Clang. Namikaze Kirito stretched out a hand and grabbed the opponent's blade, with a bit of a joke on his face. Xiaobai, this is the 5th team, and I am managing my own team members. By the way, you attack your colleagues like this. But it's a big problem, tilde. How can there be a captain like you? What do you think of the team members? The boy Toshiro frowned and shouted angrily. What do you think? It depends on what they think of me, and Xiaobai, if you attack me again next time, I won't be so kind. Captain Hitsugaya, Captain Namikaze, what are you doing? The smile on Sister Hua's pretty face has disappeared, replaced by seriousness. Seeing this, Matsumoto Rangaku hurried forward and asked Toshiro to put Zanpakuto back into the scabbard. In fact, the management of each team comes from the captain. You can give your opinion. If there is any problem with the captain, the general captain will be responsible for deciding the punishment. Instead of the other captains facing each other with swords, if everyone is like this, then the Lingling court will not be in a mess. So no matter what you say about this matter, Toshiro ignored it, and even if it came to the captain, he would probably be punished. Seeing that Toshiro was still looking at him angrily, Namikaze Kirito didn't seem to care. It's just an emotional brat, the strongest genius of the Soul Society for a century, and now it's nothing more than a genius. Whether it is Shinsheng or strength, they have not reached the level of the strong. Afterwards, Namikaze Kirito once again looked at the members of the 5th Division. Ever since that team member was blown away by the red cannon just now, every team member has an angry expression on their faces, wishing they could attack him in groups. This thought changed after seeing Namikaze Kirito reach out to block Toshiro's blade. With this kind of crushing strength, even if he and others rushed up, they would still be delivering food. Sometimes it's like this, you reason with them, they play hooligans with you, and when you play hooligans, they start to try to reason again. Now, who else has any doubts about my order? Immediately throw out the team members who have not arrived, Namikaze Kirito said in a deep voice. This time, the team members all moved. Advertisement. They have no doubt that if they don't obey the order, the other party will throw a few more keto, their small bodies can't bear it. Then I heard the sound of fighting inside the house, and then, several wounded team members were carried out by a group of people, opened the gate of the 5th team, and were thrown out directly. Is this my good team member? If I had been obedient, I wouldn't have so many troubles. Namikaze Kirito shrugged and made an indifferent expression. At this moment, Hinamori Momo, who had been bowing his head in silence, suddenly began to tremble. I don't admit it, huh? Namikaze Kirito looked at Hinamori Momo, the number 1 meat shield of the Soul Society, with interest, not understanding what the other party was trying to do. I don't admit it. Vice Captain Hinamori, you left your vocal cord at home? Say something louder, I can't hear you. Being so excited by Namikaze Kirito, Hinamori Momo directly raised her head, with a few crystal clear tears in her beautiful eyes. I don't admit it. Why does such a person become our captain? A gentle person like Master Aizen should be our captain. You guy, you've been brainwashed seriously. Listening to what Hinamori Momo said, Namikaze Kirito couldn't help sighing, obviously a patient of Aizen's gentle poisoning. As Aizen said, longing is the emotion furthest from understanding. Blindly longing, never able to understand the real thoughts of the other party, Hinamori Momo was played around by Aizen. Even at the last moment, the knife was inserted into the body, she still did not wake up. Seeing his friend cry, Toshiro looked sad. Hinamori. Toshiro is because of friendship or love, but he is always used to Hinamori Momo without restrictions, and Namikaze Kirito doesn't have that wish. I saw him walking quickly in front of Hinamori Momo, looking condescendingly at Hinamori Momo who was crying with pear blossoms and rain. Vice Captain Hinamori, I seem to have heard the name of that criminal from your mouth, and, do you have any opinion on my actions? Me. Seeking flowers, Hinamori Momo was overwhelmed by Namikaze Kirito's aura for a while, and stuttered. Advertisement, hateful. Just when Toshiro was about to say something, Matsumoto Rangaku stopped him again. Captain, what happened just now is already a mistake. If you attack Captain Namikaze again, it will cause a big mess. And Hinamori won't feel good for her. For Hinamori's sake, you have to be patient. Matsumoto. Looking at Matsumoto Rangaku, who was not serious on weekdays, it was rare to be so serious. Toshiro also gave up the idea of doing something, and stared closely at Namikaze. He was afraid that Hinamori Momo would be hurt. What's wrong? Vice Captain Hinamori, can't even speak your own mind? Facing Namikaze Kirito's pressing step by step, Hinamori Momo took a step back unconsciously, as if the courage just now had disappeared. 0. In the 5th team, my rules are the rules. You just need to obey the orders obediently. I don't want to see you, the vice captain, take the lead in disobeying orders. Otherwise. Speaking of this, Namikaze Kirito exuded an aura, which directly made everyone present feel the trembling of their souls. This isn't Ryatsu, it's more like my own spirit? Sister Wa felt the momentum released by Namikaze Kirito, and she was constantly thinking in her heart. In the center, Hinamori Momo couldn't bear it even more. Sit down on the ground. Hinamori. Toshiro ran over quickly and helped Hinamori Momo up. I said, Captain Hitsugaya, are you still leaving? It's really troublesome to stop me here again and again to manage team affairs. Namikaze Kirito made an annoyed look, stretched out his hand and pinched himself between the eyebrows. Seeing that Toshiro was about to explode again, Matsumoto Rangaku came over swinging the dazzling murder weapon. Captain Namikaze, I have a proposal, is it okay? Proposal? Let's hear it. Against Matsumoto Rangaku, Namikaze Kirito seemed interested. Matsumoto Rangaku said flatly, Vice Captain Hinamori may have suffered a lot of psychological trauma because of the previous incident. I doubt that she can assist you well, so I propose that Vice Captain Hinamori leave the 5th team. 380th Chapter Exchange Vice Captain. Oh, Namikaze Kirito looked at the calm woman in front of him with interest. Matsumoto Rangaku, with long orange wavy hair, the exposed terrifying weapon as its symbol, a mole on the lip, sexy clothes, and a necklace with a silver ring on his chest. When wearing a deadly costume, it is customary to put on a pink shawl and tie the belt side of the trousers into a bow. It is not an exaggeration to say that she is the #1 sister of the Soul Society. It can be said that she has all the attributes that a royal sister should have. She has a carefree personality on weekdays, likes to drink, and even likes to be lazy. At the same time, he has a strong sense of justice. When he said these words, he obviously planned to use Hinamori Momo's sequelae after being injured as an excuse to let him leave the 5th team. At this moment, Matsumoto Rangaku endured Namikaze Kirito's scrutinizing eyes, his beautiful face full of seriousness. When there were not many, 073, I only heard Namikaze Kirito said slowly, it's okay to let her go, but who should be the deputy captain here? Hearing that, just as Toshiro was about to say something, Matsumoto Rangaku stopped him again, and she bit her seductive lips with her white teeth. He said with difficulty, of course I understand the difficulty of Captain Namikaze, so during this period of time, I will serve as your vice captain. After a while, you are familiar with the Soul Society and have a new candidate, and then I will leave. Don't worry, I will obey the captain's order, Matsumoto. Toshiro looked at Matsumoto Rangaku with a puzzled look on his face. Although he wanted to rescue Hinamori Momo from this fire pit, he didn't want to exchange it with his own men. Facing Toshiro's embarrassment, Matsumoto Rangaku gave him a gentle smile. Don't worry, Captain, I feel that Captain Namikaze shouldn't be too difficult for me. Toshiro no longer speaks. It is indeed difficult for Hinamori Momo to integrate into work now. Instead of this, it is better to put it in his own Juban team, which is closer and easier to take care of. Moreover, although Matsumoto Rangaku is careless on weekdays and doesn't care about internal affairs, he is busier than any team leader. But when it comes to seriousness, he is definitely a person worth relying on. Interesting, is it actually an exchange? I agree. Namikaze Kirito said with a smile, but I hope you remember what you said, if you can't complete my order, then prepare to end up like the few people who were thrown out. Yes, Captain Namikaze. Matsumoto Rangaku lowered her head and said respectfully, because the murder weapon was too large, she lowered her head and almost buried herself in it. Advertisement, it's really shocking. At this moment, Sister Wa walked up to Namikaze Kirito, congratulating softly. Then congratulations to Captain Namikaze, Vice Captain Matsumoto is very popular in Seirei Ting. Although there was a smile on that pretty face that seemed harmless to humans and animals, Namikaze Kirito still shuddered. He didn't know why, but he just felt a little cold. Miss Rangaku. Seeing this scene, Hinamori Momo's eyes were full of unbearable color. She didn't expect that because of one of her own mistakes, someone else would pay for her. Don't worry, Shoutao, with me here, don't worry. Matsumoto Rangaku turned himself into an intimate big sister, walked up to Hinamori Momo and comforted him softly, and then gave Toshiro a reassuring look. Captain Hitsugaya, the replacement of the vice captain should be reported to the general captain. Let's leave together. Hearing what Hana said, Toshiro nodded subconsciously, and left the 5th team with Hinamori Momo and Hana. Before leaving, Hana looked at Namikaze Kirito meaningfully again. After the outsiders had left, Namikaze Kirito continued to focus on the members of the 5th division. It doesn't matter if your former captain humiliated you or reminded you of it, but from today on, put away your small thoughts, I don't really have much interest in these things. As for what to do next, you can do whatever you want, but remember, under my command, you can get nothing, but you can get your dignity back, that's all, disband. After all, Namikaze Kirito turned and went directly to the captain's office, followed by Matsumoto Rangaku. Only the 5th team members were left looking at each other in blank dismay. They couldn't understand this uncertain new captain at all, but after the Thunder's method just now, no one dared to continue to make mistakes. Then they started working step by step, in the captain's office of the 5th division. Namikaze Kirito sat on the captain's chair as soon as he came in, and put his long legs on the table. Matsumoto Rangaku was not surprised to see him like this. Judging from the few words and general behavior just now, this is not the kind of person in charge of Toshiro who is obsessed with team affairs at all. Advertisement, Vice Captain Matsumoto. Yes. Just when Matsumoto Rangaku was thinking that he might not be lazy in the future, he just heard Namikaze Kirito's voice, and quickly raised his head to look at him in doubt, not knowing what the first order he was going to accept was. However, she guessed that she should be dealing with team affairs. Toshiro used to do this job, so it's awkward to think about it. Come here and rub my shoulders. Yes? Matsumoto Rangaku looked at Namikaze Kirito in disbelief, as if hearing something that shocked her. What's wrong? Did I not speak clearly enough, clear enough? Although he felt that the future was hopeless, Matsumoto Rangaku still walked behind Namikaze Kirito, and gently wiped his shoulders with his delicate jade-like hands. Anyway, you can do whatever you want without dealing with team affairs, but if the 5th division continues like this, you will probably be held accountable sooner or later, right? You have a good relationship with Ichimaru Jin, don't you? Just when Matsumoto Rangaku was thinking about it, Namikaze Kirito suddenly said this, which directly made her delicate body tremble uncontrollably. She heard the 3.6 name that made her care again. Jin and I. No, Ichimaru Jin and I were childhood friends. Subconsciously, he wanted to call out Silver, which is a good relationship, but thinking that Ichimaru Jin has now become a traitor to the Soul Society, Matsumoto Rangaku gritted his teeth and called out Ichimaru Jin's full name. Ever thought about going to Hueco Mundo and asking things out? Matsumoto Rangaku fell into silence for a while. She wanted to chase Hueco Mundo more than anyone else and ask Ichimaru Jin what the truth was. As a childhood playmate, Ichimaru Jin knew my character very well. Although he usually gives people a gloomy feeling, he is definitely a kind person in essence. How could this kind of person be with Aizen and betray Huhungui? Just can't figure this out, which makes Matsumoto Rangaku not in the mood to drink these days. Chapter 381 Matsumoto Rangaku's Panic. It has been more than a month since Namikaze Kirito took over as the captain of the 5th team. This time is nothing to Shinigami's long lifespan. However, it is enough for the members of the 5th team to have a sufficient understanding of Namikaze Kirito. After getting along with each other at the beginning, they all thought that their current captain was moody, and he liked to be irritable and violent. Just like the atmosphere of the 11th team, it turned out that there are actually not that many things. Although Namikaze Kirito treats them not as gentle as Aizen's pretended, but it is worse than his true temperament. When the team members joked with him, they wouldn't get angry, and even arranged parties in the team when they were free. Because of the special order of the captain, the 5th division currently does not have too many teams. Several gatherings. Let the team's previous tenfold anxiety be completely relieved. They also discovered that their own captain, when he should be strong, is stronger than anyone else, but on weekdays, he is still an agreeable captain. So Namikaze Kirito won the love of the players without any effort at all. In the captain's office, Captain Tilda, drunk Matsumoto Rangaku walked in with a swaying delicate body, belching continuously. Obviously, she was being lazy again. This guy is not stingy. After the initial fear disappeared, she completely relaxed and found that Namikaze Kirito also likes to drink, and the two often sit together and drink. Even when there were bottlenecks in the cultivation of the 4 basic combat abilities, this captain was able to solve them. So Matsumoto Rangaku treats Namikaze Kirito like an old friend now. She came to the desk unsteadily, leaned her 2 weapons on the table, and said drunkenly, "Captain, there are too many official duties in the team, why don't you share them, Tilda?" Namikaze Kirito looked helplessly at the drunks in front of him. He doubted himself. Did he treat them too well? Why did everyone relax? Thinking of this, Namikaze Kirito pretended to be serious and said, "Vice Captain Matsumoto. Are you drinking again? How dare you talk about team affairs? It's all 3 seats to complete, and he has come to me to sue several times. If this continues, I will have to punish." Before Namikaze Kirito finished speaking, Matsumoto Rangaku seemed to be drunk. His beautiful eyes were a little blurry, and he quickly crawled 2 steps forward. His face was almost touching Namikaze Kirito. Advertisement. Fortunately, Namikaze Kirito used an enchantment to cover his face in time, otherwise the burp would not be sprayed on the face. "Vice Captain Matsumoto, don't talk about drinking in the team, and don't deal with team affairs now. Are you going crazy?" Namikaze Kirito said with a frown. Obviously the captain is like this. Why do you want to teach me?" Matsumoto Rangaku seemed very unconvinced, pouting her mouth and said, "I have to say, her pouting, both sexy and cute, made Namikaze Kirito stunned for a second. Hey, captain is shy." Matsumoto Rangaku caught even that moment of stupefaction, leaving Namikaze Kirito speechless for a while, wondering if the other party was really drunk or just pretending here. Captain Tilda, you don't have any strange thoughts about your team members, do you?" Matsumoto Rangaku went crazy with alcohol, and everyone else had to stay away. It is obvious that he has no sense now, and he is dancing wildly in this minefield. Namikaze Kirito looked at Matsumoto Rangaku, who was constantly provoking in front of him. The corner of his mouth was slightly raised, as if he had thought of something, so he also moved closer. Now, the two of them were really close to sticking together, and they could feel each other's breath. "Vice Captain Matsumoto, you're playing with fire, you know that?" Captain, I'm really scared. After spending this time together, Matsumoto Rangaku has learned that Namikaze Kirito is not the kind of person who is really moody. On the contrary, he has his own principles, and treats the team members with gentleness. Even if he says something serious, he will not punish the opponent at all. It was because of this that she completely accepted Namikaze as her captain. Before that, she was still thinking that when the third seat was able to be alone, she would apply to leave. Now she wants to stay here forever, not that she likes Namikaze Kirito. It's the current 5th team. Because of the special order of the captain, there are actually very few team affairs in the team, but the funds are sufficient. Coupled with Namikaze Kirito's character, it's literally her dream laziness place. So after knowing the character of Namikaze Kirito herself, how could she be afraid? Advertisement seeing that his threat was useless, Namikaze Kirito put his mind on it and directly posted it. The distance between the two was only about 1 finger. Namikaze Kirito leaned forward so much that his mouth smelled directly on the soft lips in front of him. The smell of wine is mixed with a fragrance, which instantly enters the heart and spleen. Now I miss the women who belong to him in the Hokage world and the pirate world, and I don't know how they're doing now. Only Namikaze Kirito was left in the office reminiscing about that kiss. What's the matter? Vice Captain Matsumoto, are you sober? Then hurry up and deal with team affairs. Team, Captain, we can't do this. But who made the two of them cadres? What's more, the gatherings on weekdays were enough for them to vent. The captain and vice captain take the lead in drinking at work. The members of the 5th division all saw Matsumoto Rangaku trotting out of the captain's office, and they had already seen it as usual during this period of time. The current Matsumoto Rangaku is really like a doll, not only did not leave, but also foolishly let Namikaze Kirito stir up Kotsu. But it doesn't matter, when this world is cleared, the truth will be unraveled, so we can go to the next world together. I thought that Vice Captain Matsumoto went in and had a drink with the captain again. After Namikaze Kirito was pushed away, he didn't care, leaned back on the chair, put his legs on the table, and looked at Matsumoto Rangaku with a smile on his face. Finally, after a while in 863, she finally came to her senses, and directly pushed Namikaze Kirito away who was intoxicated. I didn't expect to lose my first kiss when I was drunk. This is her first kiss. Hearing this, Matsumoto Rangaku gave Namikaze Kirito a vicious look, and then ran out quickly. For a moment, it seemed that the wine was sober, and Matsumoto Rangaku's beautiful face was flushed. Don't look at her being careless on weekdays, but she has never failed to pay attention to this aspect. Matsumoto Rangaku was dumbfounded, she never thought that Namikaze Kirito would really dare. Chapter 382 Exploring Hueco Mundo, what do you mean by the vice captain? I guess I asked the captain for a drink, and I was reprimanded. Didn't you see her blushing face? She must be very angry. Really? Why'd I think it might be because I snatched the captain's wine and drank it all, so I ran out in such a hurry. When the surrounding players were all in 8 trigrams, a female player said faintly, don't you think that's a woman's shyness? As soon as this remark came out, the surrounding team members were all stunned, as if they had heard something terrible. After a while they laughed out loud at the same time. Ha 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 ha. Are you new from the academy? Don't you know Matsumoto's reputation among our 13 divisions? Impossible, she's still shy. That is to say, hey, women are all love brains. The female team member was teased by the people around her for a while, she also blushed and left angrily. On this day, Matsumoto Rangaku never walked out of her team building. Even those drinking buddies came to ask her for a drink, but they all closed the door. One wonders when Matsumoto Rangaku changed his temper. On the second day, she couldn't come out, and today is the day when the 5th team goes to Hueco Mundo. Since the captain gave the order last time, Day 13 directly organized the Hueco Mundo exploration team, in order to ensure the safety of the team members and the smooth exploration. Therefore, the 13th squad took turns to go there, and every time the captain and vice captain led the team. Even so, there are still constant casualties. No way, Hueco Mundo is too weird, I don't know when a ghost will appear. However, it went much smoother than before, which also made the captains a little confused. Those who attacked them were those who seemed to have lost their minds. Those casualties were also due to traps and the inherent fear of entering the Hueco Mundo for the first time. Manos Grande and above have never been seen. This is not good news for the Soul Society. Although they are determined to find out the truth of the matter, if they continue to go deeper, it is not a captain who can guarantee safety. So no, and no useful news so far. Advertisement can only rug like edge search now. Assholes, are you ready for Hueco Mundo backquote? Namikaze Kirito sat on a chair in the open area of the team and said lazily. Yes. Even with the appearance of the captain, the eyes of these team members are full of excitement. They need a chance to prove themselves. Since Aizen betrayed the Soul Society and joined Hueco Mundo, they only need to find some things in Hueco Mundo, and they will have merit. Prove that you and others are still members of the Soul Society. As for the danger, there is no need to worry about it at all. You must know that the captain leads the team himself, and they have seen Namikaze Kirito's strength before. It is also heard that even in the face of the captain of his own team cannot lose the wind in the short term. There is no one more reliable than him, and after getting along with him for a few days, he has already understood Namikaze Kirito's character, so even though the latter looks lazy, the players are full of expectations. Not long after, Matsumoto Rangaku also came over, and her face was indifferent, as if nothing had happened. But only those who know her can know that showing such a face proves that Matsumoto Rangaku is not normal at all. She is the only one who returns to her usual unruly appearance. Slowly came to Namikaze Kirito, stood there quietly, didn't even meet Namikaze Kirito's eyes on the way, as if he was escaping from something. Faced with this situation, Namikaze Kirito didn't care, anyway, he was the one taking advantage, so there was nothing to hide. After the team was assembled, Namikaze Kirito led people to the assembly site, where there was a crossing gate to Hokage Mundo. Walking on the road, everyone frequently looked sideways at the fifth team, which is currently the most controversial. First, there was the betrayal of the good old captain, Aizen Sosuke, and then a captain who was able to compete with the general captain was airborne. Directly let Matsumoto Rangaku, the dream goddess of men in Seirei, be the vice captain. Everything seems to be enough to attract someone's attention. Faced with these gazes, the members of the 5th Division all held their chests up. They remembered that Namikaze Kirito said that as long as he was there, the 5th Division would not tolerate any objection. Advertisement. What's more, these players didn't join Aizen's plan. They have been criticized by thousands of people before, but now they are led by the captain, and they can finally stand up. When everyone arrived at the assembly point, Jashiro and Toshiro had been waiting for a long time. Captain Namikaze, you are here. Unlike Toshiro's hostility, Jashiro seemed friendly, and Namikaze Kirito also smiled back. Then he turned his gaze to Toshiro. Xiaobai, why didn't you say hello when you saw me? I sent Hinamori Momo to your team as the vice captain, come on, have a smile. Facing Namikaze Kirito's teasing, Tawong's eyes were full of depression. He wouldn't have come here if it wasn't for his 10th squad to be responsible for the security of the Soul Society. I knew that Namikaze Kirito would speak rudely when he saw him. Seeing the other party act like a rogue, Toshiro turned his gaze to Matsumoto Rangaku. He still feels guilty about it. In order to get Hinamori Momo out of the sea of bitterness, Matsumoto Rangaku did fall into his life. Originally, Toshiro thought that as long as Matsumoto Rangaku proposed to leave the 5th team at the meeting, he would help him, but he didn't expect that after so long, the other party seemed to have accepted such an arrangement. Captain Namikaze, you should understand the general situation. Don't enter the center of Hokage Mundo. I suspect that all these things are concentrated there. Your 5th team only needs to explore the prescribed areas. Now is not the time to completely break the face with Aizen, not to mention, Hokage Mundo has so many weaknesses. If you want to enter the center, at least all Gode 13 must be dispatched. The thing to do is to thoroughly check the surroundings. If all the powerful voids in the outer circle disappear, then the location of Aizen can be roughly locked. Then make plans. Hearing this, Namikaze Kirito nodded. Going in this time is to let the bastards in my team have a good exercise. As for the central point, if you ask me to go, I will not go. I will finish exploring early so that I can come back for a drink. Seeing Namikaze Kirito, Jashiro's best friend, Kiraku Shunsui, appeared in his mind. The two have some similarities but are completely different. I don't know if the man in front of me is pretending or not. Chapter 383. Isn't this what you expected? After exchanging pleasantries, Jashiro saw that Dashiro's face was getting darker and darker. He was obviously a fair and tender boy, just like Kurozumi at this moment. He hurriedly opened the world transmitting gate. He was afraid that if this continued, Toshiro would fight Namikaze Kirito before reaching Hokage Mundo. At that time, he can hardly absolve himself of the blame. Seeing that the portal opened, Namikaze Kirito stopped teasing Toshiro. The black windbreaker swayed with the wind, and he shouted loudly without looking back. Let's go, little ones. Yes. The members of the 5th squad responded with a loud voice, as if they had been beaten with chicken blood, and then followed in the footsteps of their captain, and walked into the world transmitting gate. After the portal slowly closed, Jashiro looked helplessly at Toshiro, who was still angry. Captain Hitsugaya, Captain Namikaze, he is that character, don't pay too much attention to it. Captain Jashiro, I always feel that Namikaze Kirito's purpose of joining Gode 13 is not that pure. In short, no matter what the captain says, I will always keep an eye on him. In the face of such a firm Toshiro, Jashiro is not talking. In fact, he thinks so in his heart, since Toshiro wants to stare at the other party, as long as there is no big trouble. Just let him go. This can also effectively prevent the Aizen incident from happening again. Safety 360 passed the boundary, and when he opened his eyes again, all the members of the 5th Division had arrived at Hokage Mundo. Looking around, there is nothingness. The ground is full of yellow sand and high rocky cliffs, and Shu's roar can be heard from time to time in the air. This barren land is Hokage Mundo, and their current location is the outer circle. There is no danger. After all, the investigation team had already reported it, let alone those top ghosts around. Even Manos Grande Jillian hadn't seen it. This is Hokage Mundo. Even though I am a spirit body, I still feel a biting chill. Have you heard those roars? These virtuals don't have any reason at all. They only know each other and reach a higher level. I don't know when we go day 13 will be able to completely eradicate Hokage Mundo. Eradicate it completely? Are you crazy? The chief captain probably won't be able to say such a thing. You know, we are only on the periphery now. If we enter the inner circle, there are some powerful ghosts inside, and even the captains may not be able to beat it. Advertisement, really. Some newcomers Shinigami who have never been to Hokage Mundo are listening to the explanation of the senior, CJBG. Hokage Mundo is an unknown territory for them. Although they will teach about these places when they are in the academy, theory and practice are two different things. Looking at the surrounding environment, Namikaze Kirito is also somewhat novel. After all, he had only watched it in anime in his previous life. While looking around, Matsumoto Rangaku, who hadn't communicated all the way, came over. Captain, what should we do? Hearing this, Namikaze Kirito turned his head and looked at the woman with a terrifying weapon next to him. When he caught Namikaze Kirito's gaze, Matsumoto Rangaku seemed to remember what happened that day and couldn't help but blush. Keep going. Go forward. Originally, there was still a shyness in his heart, but when he heard Namikaze Kirito's words, Matsumoto Rangaku was obviously stunned. You know, if you go forward, you are going to enter the inner circle. The order they received was to explore the outer circle. If they went to the inner circle, wouldn't it be against the order? Go to the inner circle, isn't that what you have in mind? Namikaze Kirito teased. Hearing this sentence, Matsumoto Rangaku stared straight at Namikaze Kirito with her beautiful eyes. She didn't know why her captain knew the Soul Society and her personal information like the back of her hand even though she had just joined the Soul Society not long ago. That's right, she just wanted to get into the inner circle. A close friend since childhood, Ichimaru Jin followed Aizen to betray the Soul Society and came to the virtual circle. After several explorations by the exploration team, it has been basically confirmed that Aizen and others must be in the inner circle. She couldn't wait to ask Ichimaru Jin face to face what made him decide to betray the Soul Society. But even so, she, Matsumoto Rangaku, can't make fun of her companion's life. As the veteran vice captain, no one here knows the dangers better than Matsumoto Rangaku. If they enter the inner circle, how many of these players can come back alive? After struggling in his heart for a long time, Matsumoto Rangaku looked at Namikaze Kirito firmly. Captain, let's carry out the order and don't enter. Advertisement, okay, I'm the captain, listen to me, I will take all the responsibilities, what are you afraid of? Before Matsumoto Rangaku could finish speaking, Namikaze Kirito interrupted, and then walked forward on his own. Looking at the dark back, Matsumoto Rangaku's beautiful eyes flashed a touch of emotion. She thought it was Namikaze Kirito who was deliberately helping her, even at the risk of getting into a dangerous situation. Both the captain and the vice captain went to the inner circle. Even if some team members have opinions, they can't raise them. What's more, Namikaze Kirito told them before that he will be the one who will carry the sky when the sky falls. The next time you want to sneak attack, remember to keep your voice down, with such a loud voice, who are you scaring? By the way, you won't do it again. Seeing Shu who attacked his own captain so easily eliminated, it boosted the morale of the members of the 5th squad. Bang! With a muffled sound, Namikaze Kirito tightly pinched that bloody mouth with one hand. Roar! 31 of Hado, Red Cannon. As everyone knows, for Namikaze Kirito, this kind of sneak attack is like delivering food, but observation hockey has been kept open. He wanted to speak to dissuade Namikaze Kirito, but the latter was obviously very firm and had no intention of retreating at all. But Matsumoto Rangaku thought in his heart that he must protect the captain. Captain beware. Let alone the Kido in the 30s, even the Kido in the 90s can achieve no chant, but the power is definitely different compared to the Kido that is chanted. Thinking of this, the members of the 5th team followed Namikaze Kirito's pace and went to the inner circle of Soul Society. Boom! Our captain is invincible, so what is there to be afraid of? There is no chant, and it can be sent out at will. Although Namikaze Kirito is idle in the 5th team these days and has nothing to do, Kido's training has been going on. Just as Namikaze Kirito was walking forward, a ghost suddenly emerged from the ground, opened its bloody mouth and bit him. The image of Namikaze Kirito became more generous and stronger in their hearts. The red flame burned in the palm of Namikaze Kirito, and Shu also turned into fly ash. Matsumoto Rangaku pulled out Zanpakuto at the first moment and reminded him. Chapter 384, The Blue-Haired Youth, 31 of Hado, Red Cannon. Show yourself, Phantom, 6-stick light prison. Along the way, I encountered many ghosts, but Namikaze Kirito has never made a move except for the first time. Now that he has become the captain of the 5th team, he still needs to make these players a little tougher, otherwise how can he have any face? You know, there are quite a few, hanging B, hidden in other teams. For example, in the 11th team, Zaraki Kenpachi is the captain, and all the players under it are also fighting mad. Under the high-intensity battle, whether it is the vice-captain or the team members. They all have a lot of hidden unique skills, and there is even a corner of Shinigami who has already learned Bankai, but because he likes the atmosphere in the team, he has never been exposed. On the other hand, the 5th team, because what Aizen needs is not combat power, but players who are easier to control, so the strength of these people is not very strong. In the middle, each of them is easily produced by emotions. But again, people who are drawn by emotions should not be underestimated when they erupt. Because of Aizen's betrayal of the Soul Society, these players themselves have a huge grievance. After Namikaze Kirito came, they showed such strong fighting power again, and each of them was inspired to be competitive, and began to bombard Void Madness indiscriminately. I can't wait to use what I have learned all my life. Matsumoto Rangaku looked at this scene and shook her head helplessly. She found that these usually gentle players seemed to be influenced by their own captain like those combat lunatics of the 10th squad. Vice Captain Matsumoto, do you want to play along for a while? Namikaze Kirito sat aside and said with a smile. I'll forget it, Captain, I don't want all the blood splashed on my body. Matsumoto Rangaku brushed his long orange hair behind his ears and said softly. She is still a little embarrassed to face Namikaze Kirito, so even though the two of them were talking, she didn't turn around, leaving Kirito with a chubby back. Boom! At this moment, a roar sounded. With several players flying upside down, Matsumoto Rangaku drew Zanpakuto directly and went on alert. Team leader. Just about to turn around and ask what Namikaze Minato meant, it turned out that the figure of the other party had completely disappeared. On the field, the members of the 5th Division originally had no major problems in dealing with the 3 irrational animals in front of them. But just when one of them was killed, a red light beam suddenly appeared in the field, and then many players were blasted out. Advertisement: the dust and smoke cleared, and a handsome man with blue hair and open chest appeared in it. He looked no different from humans or Shinigami, but if you looked carefully, there was a bone mask hanging on his right cheek. And there was an air of emptiness on his body. What is this? Is it Shu? But he wears a Zanpakuto around his waist? What the hell is this? The members of the 5th Division were all surprised by the appearance of the figure. At this moment, the blue-haired young man spoke, and he stroked his hair back with one hand, with the corner of his mouth raised. Ha 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 ha, I really didn't expect to meet so many Shinigami just for a walk. Hey, Shinigami, are you lost? Hearing this, every member of the 5th team tightened their Zanpakuto tightly, and from the tone of the other party's mouth, we could tell that it was definitely an enemy rather than a friend. What's more, the strong breath of emptiness on his body makes people feel suffocated. No matter who it is, catch him first, as the 4th seed of the 5th team shouted loudly. A Shinigami took a fighting posture, and the chanting sounded one after another. King's Lander, the mask of flesh and blood, all phenomena, soaring high, that which bears the name of human beings, truth and temperance, the wall that knows no evil, only stands on it. Hados 33, blue flame pendant, boom. The chanting of many people directly caused a qualitative change in the Kido of Kanghoju, and the whole sky was colored by blue flames. The scorching high temperature directly vitrified the surrounding desert. Facing such a scene, the blue-haired young man not only had no intention of avoiding it, but the madness in his eyes became more and more intense. Finally, a large blue flame directly covered it, and the dust and smoke generated by the explosion made the surrounding Shinigami take a few steps back. After an unknown period of time, a figure could be vaguely seen in the blue flames. The man stretched out his hand and shook it vigorously. The blue flame disappeared immediately. The scorched ground, the vitrified gravel, and the deep pit all proved the horror of the many people Kido. Ask for flowers, 0, but the young man in front of him didn't have any damage at all? Advertisement: such a discovery surprised the Shinigami. How can it be? Hey, are you a liar? Just when Shinigami was stunned, the blue-haired young man walked out slowly, with an insolent smile still on his face. Shinigami? This is your best effort? You don't even deserve to scratch my itch? Hearing this, how could the 4 seats hold back? With a flash of his figure, Shunpo used it directly. Suddenly appeared behind the blue-haired young man, and the Zanpakuto in his hand drew out a sharp ray of light, aiming at the back of the opponent's neck. Clang! With a loud noise, Zanpakuto hit the opponent on the back of the neck, but it didn't break the defense. Although Zanpakuto was not liberated, it was impossible for this full-blown blow to leave no traces. Just when Shi was dumbfounded, the blue-haired youth turned his head and then punched violently. Shi felt a pain in his abdomen, and felt that his internal organs had all shifted, and before he had time to react, he was kicked away by the other party. Really, it's not challenging at all. Did the Soul Society send trash like you here? You're not even worthy to carry my uncle's shoes? The blue-haired young man's eyes were clearly disappointed. He doesn't know why these Shinigami are so weak. The surrounding Shinigami glared at each other, feeling insulted, and then everyone rushed forward. The colorful Kido and the liberation of Zanpakuto chilled the sky. Ha 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 ha. Going together can't hide the fact that you are trash. The blue-haired young man didn't even take out the knife. A dazzling red light appeared in the palms of his hands, and then he pushed forward indiscriminately. Red energy balls were thrown out one by one. Of course the Shinigami who have been fighting against Shu all the year round know that this is the breath of Sero. Boom 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 boom. A lot of deafening noises sounded, and the Shinigami of the 5th Division flew out one by one with smoke. No one is alone. The strength of the blue-haired youth is terrifying. Ah, by the way, it looks like I have to kill all of you. It's not the time for me to appear, so it's really troublesome. Chapter 385. Leopard King the first saw the blue-haired youth walking slowly in front of one of the Shinigami, and a red light appeared in the palm of his hand. Goodbye, Shinigami. My uncle's name is Grimmjow. With the fear of my uncle, go to death. After all, the virtual bullet in his hand shot out suddenly. At this moment, a gust of wind blew by, and at some point, a dark figure appeared in front of him. It was a young man with red hair who was looking at him with a smile. Grimmjow was slightly taken aback, and just as he was in a daze, the false bullet in his hand had already been fired. The red-haired young man in front of him stretched out a hand and slapped it casually, and the empty bullet disappeared into the air like bubbles. The red-haired youth is of course Namikaze Minato. He left Matsumoto Rangaku's side long ago, the reason why he didn't join the battlefield to help. I really want to tell these people in the 5th, 280, squad how weak they are. They are not strong if they kill 1 or 2 ghosts, and they are not even as good as a hair in the face of a truly powerful existence. Only by seeing the gap between yourself and others can you inspire your fighting spirit and become stronger. But the trial is the trial. You can't let the enemy really kill the team members. The blue-haired youth is Grimmjow in Espada, and even after the Millennium Blood War, he becomes the leader of Hueco Mundo. Namikaze Minato, who has read the original book, is of course familiar, but the other party does not know him at all. B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************่Who are you? At this time, the surrounding team members also saw their captain appear, and they all heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, they looked at Namikaze Kirito with some shame, feeling that they had embarrassed him. Team leader. At this moment, Matsumoto Rangaku also ran over, looking at Green District with vigilance. Vice Captain Matsumoto, you can go and take care of the wounded, just leave it to me. Hearing this, Matsumoto Rangaku's glamorous face showed a look of worry. Although she knew that her captain was strong, the other party was definitely not a simple character. It can be seen from the fact that he directly killed all the members of the 5th team in seconds. This is a strong man. And it exudes a suffocating power. What's the matter, Deputy Captain Matsumoto, don't you still trust your captain? Namikaze Kirito winked at Matsumoto Rangaku. Advertisement. A red cloud immediately appeared on the latter's face. I don't know if it was because of Namikaze Kirito's teasing tone, or because of the 4 words of your captain. After a blank look at Namikaze Kirito, Matsumoto Rangaku went around tending to the wounded. Although she is not a member of the 4th Division, Kaido's ability is a little bit better if she is a Shinigami. It's just a matter of how many Grandmasters there are. Are you the captain of Shinigami? Ha ha ha, finally a decent one is here. Even if Grimmjow has never played Hueco Mundo, Shinigami will occasionally come to Hueco Mundo to kill Shu, so as long as he has his own mind, he knows a little about Shinigami. What's more, those captains who turn pale from ordinary talk. Facing the captain rank who is known as the strongest combat force in Shinigami, Grimmjow didn't have the slightest fear, and his face still had that arrogant look on his face. It's such a boring joke. To Aizen, these toys are useless, but they still have to create them. Namikaze Kirito looked at Grimmjow's arrogant look and said softly. Indeed, in the end, the fate of these espadas was not bad, and some of them were even killed by Aizen himself. In the final analysis, no matter which side of the world it is, there is no crowd tactics. As long as one person is strong enough, how many people come will be given for nothing. Hey, who are you talking about? Grimmjow's tone darkened, and it was obvious that he was disgusted by what Namikaze Kirito had said. Of course it's you. Is there anyone else here? Little leopard? Damn you. Hearing Namikaze Kirito's teasing words, Grimmjow couldn't bear it anymore. He no longer wanted to know why the other party knew that he was in the form of the Leopard King in a returned state. At this moment, Grimmjow just wanted to tear the person in front of him to pieces. Boom. Because of excessive anger, Grimmjow kicked his feet on the ground, and there was a deafening roar, and then his whole body was ejected like a cannonball. Seeing this, Namikaze Kirito didn't panic, and still had a smile on his face. B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Kirito and kicked him in the head with a side kick. With a bang, Grimjow's leg was tightly grasped by Namikaze Kirito's outstretched hand, and because of too much strength, the former's leg even made a harsh sound of creaking. Advertisement? Feeling the pain in his legs, Grimjow pushed his hands forward continuously, and countless red bullets smashed towards Namikaze Kirito's whole body. Boom boom boom. There was an explosion, and because they were too close, Grimjow's body was also scorched black. But it was also because of this that he broke free. The moment he put his hand on the handle of the knife, his eyes went dark, and at some point, that man actually appeared in front of him. A hand was even placed on the end of his knife, firmly pressing against it. How is it possible? It's not Shunpo. It's not a ring. Why is it so fast? Shinigami's Shunpo is similar to Shu's ring spin, but the latter's speed is obviously faster. But Namikaze Kirito appeared beside him so silently that he didn't even react. Such a scene made Grimjow break out in a cold sweat. If the other party did it directly just now, would he be dead already? Facing a toy like you, I don't know how Aizen mentioned the nature. After saying this, without waiting for Grimjow to get angry, Namikaze Kirito punched casually, and with a bang, Grimjow flew upside down, smashing a deep hole in the ground. The surrounding Shinigami looked at their captain's big hair Kamui, and also showed a shocked 4.4 expression on his face. They had personally experienced Grimjow's strength just now, but they didn't expect such a powerful person to be manipulated at will like a child in front of their captain. Cough cough cough. In the deep pit, Grimjow stood up, spat out a mouthful of yellow sand, and wiped the bloodline off the corner of his mouth with his hand. When he looked at Namikaze Kirito again, his eyes were full of madness and killing intent. Shinigami, you managed to P******s me off. Next, I'll show you the difference between me and you. After saying that, Grimjow directly drew the knife from his waist. Crack it. Leopard King, after all, a powerful Ryotsu appeared on his body, and the staff pressure even went straight to the sky. Grimjow was also shrouded in blue light. The surrounding yellow sand was churning like ocean waves. Chapter 386 Ichimaru Jin appears not long after. The blue beam of light soaring into the sky had disappeared, and the scene inside came into view. I saw that Grimjow's appearance has completely changed, and he became a capable leopard man after liberation. Zanpakuto disappears, the body becomes a white leopard, the eyeshadow extends to the temples, the ears become leopard ears, the hair becomes long hair hanging down the waist, and the mask moves to the forehead. The whole body is equipped with white tight-fitting armor, and a segmented tail with black ends grows from the rear. The ends of the limbs turn black, with quite long mane and sharp claws, and a mouthful of sharp fangs. Grimjow in Leopard King form let out a roar that soared into the sky. The roaring sound wave also has a considerable degree of power. The slightly weaker Shinigami had gurgles of blood pouring out of his ears. Shinigami, this is the form of my master. I hope you can still maintain your calmness before. There was a grin on Grimmjow's face. Obviously, he was very proud, and he was very displeased with Namikaze Kirido's previous look of contempt. Namikaze Kirido stood there without moving, not even opening his mouth. This look infuriated Grimmjow even more. Go to hell, Shinigami. Boom. Grimmjow in the 29 returning blade state is no different from the previous ones in terms of speed, attack and defense. The Claw of the Leopard King. When Grimmjow was a child in the same place, when he reappeared, he had already come in front of Namikaze Kirido, and 10 nails like sharp blades appeared on his claws. The nails compressed with high-density spiritual particles are full of power. When they are swung, the sharp claws carry terrifying wind pressure. Just a guy who doesn't listen to his lesson. Namikaze Kirido finally drew out the pitch-black Zanpakuto, and the power of darkness surged forth. Clang. The sharp claws collided with the blade, making a violent impact sound. The air seemed to burst open. Ha ha ha, is it alright, Shinigami, but that's it for now. Grimmjow's other hand saw a wave of blue spirits emerging from the palm of his other hand, which was completely different from the red void bullets before. The surrounding Shinigami could feel the terrifying power. Advertisement in Namikaze Kirido is very calm. This is the King Sero light that only Wang Shu can use. Shinigami, repent in hell. There was a hint of bloodthirsty and madness in Grimmjow's eyes, and Wang Shu shot out instantly from his palm. Boom. Under the sky and the earth, there is only a blue light left. As Namikaze Kirido was gradually covered by the blue light, Grimmjow, who had been staring at him, saw a smile on his face. This smile made him shudder. He didn't know why the Shinigami in front of him didn't even have the intention to avoid it. Do you really think that you can use your physical body to resist Wang Shu's flash? Just kidding, that is simply impossible. Soon, he knew what it meant to face slap. I saw Wang Shu's flashes pouring in one direction as if he had found some outlet. After a while, the shining blue light disappeared. The appearance of Namikaze Kirido was also displayed in front of everyone, and a thick black mist appeared on one of his hands, and Wang Shu's last ray of light was wiped out by the thick black mist. Wang Shu's flash was absorbed. Only Grimmjow at close range could tell what was going on. Wang Sero was undoubtedly launched, but Namikaze Kirido stretched out a hand, and Wang Sero was directly absorbed by the black fog on the opponent's hand. Up to now, there is no trace of the sun left. How can it be? Just when Grimmjow was shocked, Namikaze Kirido still kept his hand in the previous position, and he chuckled lightly. It's really good strength. I don't know if your steel skin can withstand your King Sero. W. Hearing Namikaze Kirido's words, Grimmjow had a bad premonition in his heart. He was about to dodge, but he felt a familiar force. I saw a ray of blue light gushing out from the palm of Namikaze Kirido, which was then infinitely magnified in front of Grimmjow's eyes. Boom. Wang Shu, who made the world look pale, reappeared. The difference is that this time, Namikaze Kirido shot out his palm and shot towards Grimmjow. The ground was shaking violently. Wang Shu's strength was not weak at all, on the contrary, it was still very strong. Some injured Shinigami were even knocked to the ground by the shock. The vibration lasted for a long time before it stopped, and when they looked in front of Namikaze Kirido again, a large pit with a diameter of hundreds of meters appeared in front of everyone. Advertisement: the deep pit exuded bursts of anxious air. The surrounding yellow sand has been completely vitrified. At this moment, in the deep pit, a charred figure also slowly moved. As the black coke fell layer by layer, Grimmjow's figure was also exposed. Now he is not in a state of embarrassment. There were burn marks all over his body, one hand and one foot had disappeared, and blood gushed out from the corner of his mouth. But a horrifying scene appeared. I saw that his disappeared hands and feet were being reborn at a speed visible to the naked eye. High-speed regeneration. It is one of Shu's inherent abilities, but like Espada, it is a high-level Shu, and has evolved from Hogyoku's power. At this moment, a familiar voice came out. Grimmjow roared up to the sky. He is aggressive by nature, and he will be strong when he is strong, but he only felt powerless from Aizen, but he did not expect to meet another person today who made him powerless to fight back. The ability of high-speed regeneration has been developed to a terrifying level. As long as the brain and internal organs are not destroyed, they will definitely continue to regenerate. Ichimaru Jin. That's right, it was Ichimaru Jin. At some point, he appeared near the pit, looking at Grimmjow in the pit with a smile on his face. Hearing this, even someone as arrogant as Grimmjow couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. The reason why Ichimaru Jin can feel the soul breath of Matsumoto Rangaku is because when Aizen was collecting souls when he was young, he took away part of Matsumoto Rangaku's soul. Oh yeah, Grimmjow, you really don't like growling kittens. Looking at Ichimaru Jin's voice, Namikaze Kirido murmured in a voice only he could hear. And it's a Shinigami. Seeing that figure, Matsumoto Rangaku widened his beautiful eyes, and opened his mouth lightly. Silver. Grimmjow heard the other party's ridicule, and his eyes were full of fierceness. Ichimaru Jin. It really appeared in time. It must have felt the soul of Matsumoto Rangaku, right? DZE, Aizen can be said to be their Espada's nightmare. Looking at me like that is really terrifying. Grimmjow, you acted without Captain Aizen's consent. You must have thought about how to explain it when you go back, right? Shinigami is about to become his demon. Chapter 387 Invitation. 90% of the reasons why Ichimaru Jin joined the Aizen team was to help Matsumoto Rangaku get his soul back. He knows how powerful Aizen is. If he doesn't get into Aizen's side, would he have a chance to kill him? That would be a dream. Aizen Sosuke, The person who is powerful has never been Kyoka Suigetsu. For him, Kyoka Suigetsu's powerful ability is just icing on the cake. The reason why Aizen took this path is because he reached the limit of the Shinigami. There is no way to break through this limit. He has reached the peak of each of the 4 basic combat abilities. If he wants to go further, he can only use Hogyoku to break the limit. Grimmjow looked at the smiling Ichimaru Jin, feeling chills for no reason. Who in Espada doesn't know the means of Aizen? Ichimaru Jin. For a split second, Sharimjo looked at Ichimaru Jin with divine intent. But he can only think about it. Even if Ichimaru Jin rarely takes shots on weekdays, it doesn't mean he is a soft persimmon. What's the matter? Grimmjow, are you planning to ask Captain Aizen to take you back in person? Ichimaru Jin was still smiling, but his hands were already deep in his arms. Those who are familiar with him know that his Zanpakuto is usually the size of a dagger, so he is always kicking in his arms. Once he puts his hands in his arms, it means he is ready to fight. The atmosphere was tense for a while. Finally, Grimmjow seemed to give up. He let out a loud cry, and his body changed from the Leopard King form to a normal form. Nothing, I'm leaving. After that, he walked out of the deep pit slowly, and when he passed by Namikaze Kirito, he heard a sentence that made his eyes widen. Tell Aizen that I'll visit when I get the chance, and tell him to get ready. Snort. Grimmjow's figure gradually disappeared in front of everyone. Advertisement Ichimaru Jin also came to Namikaze Kirito's side. The newly appointed captain of the 5th Division. Really, I heard that you have become the captain of the 5th Division. Captain Aizen is very angry. Ichimaru Jin spread his hands and said helplessly. Really? He has already become the king of the virtual circle. Does he still care about the position of captain? That's not true. It's just that Captain Aizen seems to want you to join us. To join you guys? Namikaze Kirito said with a hint of amusement in his tone. It should be said to join him. Hearing this, Ichimaru Jin opened his eyes rarely and said meaningfully, it seems that you know a lot. It's not just me who knows. You can go back and ask your respected Captain Aizen. He should also know, but like me, he probably just thinks it's interesting. Ichimaru Jin didn't speak, but fixed his eyes on Namikaze Kirito. Silver. At this moment, Matsumoto Rangaku trotted over. Her beautiful eyes were full of complex colors. It seemed that she had countless questions to ask. Rangaku. Seeing the figure of Matsumoto Rangaku, Ichimaru Jin was also full of emotion, but it was obvious that he was happy, and he didn't expect to see him again. Why? Listening to Matsumoto Rangaku's crying question, Ichimaru Jin almost blurted out the truth, but he suppressed it directly. Forced himself to look at Namikaze Kirito. For so many years, if I have seen anyone who can fight against Captain Aizen, it should be you, the new captain. You and Captain Aizen are so terrifying, I can't see through it. Why don't you go back to Soul Society? Aizen and the captain will help you get settled. It has to be said that Namikaze Kirito still has a certain affection for the role of Ichimaru Jin, so he invited him. Matsumoto Rangaku heard Namikaze Kirito's words and looked at Ichimaru Jin expectantly. But the result really disappointed her. I saw Ichimaru Jin shook his head and said softly, Master Captain, it seems that you misunderstood one thing. I said that you can fight against Captain Aizen, but you are only the former Captain Aizen. Soon, he will be promoted to a higher dimension. Now he is already unkillable. At that time, there will be no other way. Advertisement. In fact, according to what Ichimaru Jin said, there is no problem. Seirei is strong enough, especially the execution of Shinigami. In the original book, Aizen did so many outrageous things. The results of it? There is no way to kill Aizen who is fused with Hogyoku. Even if there are as many methods as Urahara Kazuki, can't he only use the power of Kurosaki Ichigo to seal Aizen? As Namikaze Kirito understands, if Hogyoku can realize the desire of the bottom of the heart, it must be the product of the world order. In this case, as long as the world order exists and allows it, then Hogyoku can become stronger without limit, and it is very simple to make Aizen unkillable. But Namikaze Kirito didn't explain it to Ichimaru Jin. One is that even if he explained it, Ichimaru Jin couldn't understand it. What's more, if the plot of this world has not been changed now, it is not a good thing to attract the attention of the world order in advance. Once the truth is told, it will definitely be noticed by, above. Seeing that Namikaze Kirito didn't speak, Ichimaru Jin returned to his smiling face. Captain Aizen is going to lead us to a new dimension, so Rangaku, I'm sorry, I can't go back with you. Silver. Matsumoto Rangaku tightened her grip on Zanpakuto. She wanted to defeat Ichimaru Jin by force, but obviously, she couldn't do it at all. Song Nang looked at Namikaze Kirito with his beautiful eyes as if asking for help. Uda? Just when Ichimaru Jin was about to continue talking, there was a gentle voice behind him, and the moment Ichimaru Jin heard this voice, the hairs on his body stood on end. Grimmjow probably hasn't returned to Suya Palace yet, so how did Lan, Wang Haohao, know? Little did they know that the entire Hueco Mundo is under the surveillance of Aizen, and of course noticed it. Now Aizen has put on a white uniform and has his hair back. His temperament has completely changed from when he was in Soul Society. Namikaze Kirito, it's an honor for you to be here. Namikaze Kirito shrugged. Grimmjow must have been lured here by the news you, inadvertently, leaked, right? I just wanted him to pick you up and take a tour of our palace, but Grimmjow misunderstood me. My mistake, please allow me to apologize. Aizen said with a smile. Ghosts believe you, Namikaze Kirito had guessed it a long time ago. After all, Grimmjow was a Spada, and now Aizen's plan had just begun. How could it be possible to mess around here without incident? Someone must have revealed the news to him. Chapter 388. The bet with Aizen. Forget about Grimjow, the little leopard didn't bother me anyway. Namikaze Kirito shrugged and said indifferently. Aside from the fact that Aizen and Namikaze Kirito were talking like friends, the people in the 5th division around them all widened their eyes when they saw Aizen appear. They were once played by Aizen, and they treated Aizen as if they had faith in their hearts, which was simply engraved in their bones. This is the strength of Aizen. With a disguise, there is no one he can't fool. After years of screening, he kept all the people who could be easily controlled in the 5th team. Of course, the result did not disappoint him. These people have become your subordinates. Aizen looked around, and all the faces were extremely familiar. Then he looked directly at Namikaze Kirito and said, "Don't you think it's boring to stay with these weak people who are like dust? There shouldn't be any common topics at all, right?" "Ha ha ha, Aizen, if you say that, I would like to ask you a question. For so many years, you have been acting in front of these so-called dust, isn't it boring?" Aizen shook his head slightly, and said softly, "I have never pretended in front of them. The Aizen Sosuke they knew didn't exist from the beginning. I just let them follow me, but I didn't let them trust and follow me. I said before at 650, don't trust anyone, including me of course, but the sad thing is that there are not many strong people who can truly implement this concept. All living things believe in someone superior to themselves. In this way, the trusted person will seek a higher existence in order to escape this heavy pressure. And the higher beings will yearn for a higher level and trustworthy powerhouse. In this way, all kings can be born, and in this way, all gods can be born. In the anime of the previous life, I saw Aizen's speech, and now I am in this world, standing in front of Aizen, and hearing the other party say such words in such a calm tone. You can more directly feel the ambition in Aizen's heart and want to break the shackles of the world. Break the order and become the rule. Aizen, I have to say that after you have spoken out your thoughts, I want to reveal something to you." Hearing Namikaze Kirito's words, Aizen had a look of interest on his face. In this world, there are very few things that he doesn't know. After all, he knows even such secret things as King Ling. There is no hidden secret. Have you ever thought that Shinigami, Shu, Espada, and even your every move are all within reason? Namikaze Kirito said softly. Advertisement, reason? Ichimaru Jin was surprised to find that this was the first time Aizen showed a puzzled expression. After thinking for a while, Aizen said, "Are you talking about fate?" "Fate, I guess, but it doesn't count. A more reasonable way to say it should be." I saw Namikaze Kirito's mouth raised a smirk. "Toys, just like you look down on these so-called dust, have you ever thought? You are also one of them? Oh, are you trying to say that I am your toy? Namikaze Kirito, I have to say, you are really confident. I'm not talking about me." Namikaze Kirito stretched out his index finger, tapped lightly towards the sky, and then quickly fell down. Now he doesn't want to attract the attention of the world order, so no matter what he says or does, he has to be careful. "What's there? Are you talking about that thing?" Namikaze Kirito knew what the thing Aizen was talking about was the Soul King. In Aizen's cognition, the Spirit King is an existence similar to the Creator God, that is, he controls the order of the entire world. So his ultimate goal is to destroy the Spirit King, and then become a role like the Spirit King himself. It's a pity that Aizen guessed the direction correctly, but after all he was also trapped in the game, so he couldn't guess what Namikaze Kirito was going to say. Namikaze Kirito, JCF, shook his head slowly, a higher level. Varied. Aizen's pupils constricted, and he recognized Namikaze Kirito as a strong man of the same level as him, so he agreed more with what the other said. But I didn't expect to hear such a shocking fact. A higher level? What is that? Does such a thing really exist? You always talk about breaking the limit of Shinigami, but even if you really break that kind of thing, you can transcend everything. No, you're still in it. Namikaze Kirito's tone was deep and serious. Advertisement, are you joking? Namikaze Kirito, what do you think? Aizen Sosuke. You really interest me very much, and I want you to join me more and more. No, Aizen, I said from the beginning, I want you to join me, because I can take you to the higher level. All the Shinigami around, including Ichimaru Jin and Matsumoto Rangaku, looked at Aizen and Namikaze Kirito playing riddles with confusion. The reason why it is said to be a charade is entirely because they couldn't understand a word of what the two said. This is already beyond their knowledge. It seems that we both want each other to join our plans. Namikaze Kirito, you really didn't disappoint me. How about we make a bet? Oh, Aizen became very interested. If someone else said this, he didn't think the other party had the qualification at all. But encountering a variable beyond Namikaze Kirito's plan, he especially wanted to know what the other party would say next. If you fail when you go to implement the plan, join me. If you defeat me in the process of stopping me, then do the opposite. Take yourself as a bet. Interesting, I agree, Aizen said with a smile. He himself has his own arrogance. Facing Namikaze Kirito's bet, how could he not have the courage to agree? Today's conversation has really benefited me a lot, Namikaze Kirito. I hope we can talk more next time we meet. I also want to tell you all the truth directly, and then see your shocked face. Unfortunately, if you say too much, you will be discovered. Of course Aizen knew what Namikaze Kirito said would be discovered, and by whom. It is obvious that there is a higher level of existence, and it is unimaginable to have an existence that is one dimension higher than the Spirit King. So even Aizen has a dubious attitude. Of course, he will not be in a hurry. Now that the bet has taken effect, everything will be decided on the day when the two decide the outcome. Chapter 389. Do you want to become stronger? Seeing Aizen turn and leave, Ichimaru Jin also took a meaningful look at Matsumoto Rangaku, then turned around and left together. The surrounding Shinigami watched the confrontation between the two captains of their own team. It can be said that the mood is mixed. Even though Aizen has defected, the seeds of faith left in their hearts are not so easy to dissipate. So when we saw Aizen again, everyone had a faint hope in their hearts. I don't know whether to expect Aizen to turn back or to take them along. But it was this kind of expectation, which was completely shattered by Aizen one by one. Coupled with the sense of powerlessness facing Grimmjow just now, the hearts they had built up before have completely disappeared. Instead, there is a desire to become stronger. After Aizen and Ichimaru Jin left completely, Namikaze Kirito turned to look at his subordinates. Tisk tisk tisk. How is it, feeling your own powerlessness? In the face of a real strong man, even if you go up together, you don't even have the qualifications to let others draw their swords. Hearing this, the Shinigami members of the 5th Division all had shame on their faces, feeling that they had embarrassed the captain. Know your shame and then be brave. It is not terrible to know your own weakness. What is terrible is to sit in a well and watch the sky. Since you already know the gap between you and the strong, do you want strength? Hearing Namikaze Kirito's words, all the dead people raised their necks and roared loudly. They never wanted to become stronger from the bottom of their hearts. What surprised people was Matsumoto Rangaku, who slowly came to the front of Namikaze Kirito, and as the murder weapon kept rising and falling, Matsumoto Rangaku lowered his head. Captain, please let me become stronger. There was an inaudible tremor in his tone. Namikaze Kirito knows that Matsumoto Rangaku was stimulated by Ichimaru Jin, whether he wants to become stronger and defeat Aizen, or his best friend later. In short, as long as they have a heart that wants to become stronger, then the rest things are easy to say. Next, we will stay in Hueco Mundo for a month. During this month, I will train you crazily. Get ready. Seeing his team leader baring his teeth and laughing, it looked like a harmless smile to humans and animals, but every Shinigami felt a chill in his heart. Soon, a team hunting Shu started to move around the periphery of Hueco Mundo. They are in groups of 3 or 4, constantly searching for the lone Shu. As long as they find it, they will inevitably start fighting without any explanation. Advertisement because Aizen was sitting in the Void Knight Palace, Espada didn't send anyone to stop it. Among the virtuals, there is no concept of companions. Even if these virtuals are not killed by the Shinigami, they will be eaten away by the same kind at some point. At the same time, Urahara stores. Yoruichi-san, since you've reconciled with the Soul Society, why don't you just stay in the Soul Society and... Boom. Before Urahara Kazuki could finish speaking, Yi punched him flying. Hey, I'm staying here, aren't you welcome? How is it possible? Yoruichi-san's fist is still so strong. Urahara Kazuki struggled to get up from the ground, and continued. Kirito-kun, he just happened to be the captain of the 5th Division now, can't you eat and drink with him? Cut. Yoruichi gave Urahara Kazuki a disdainful look. Don't think that I can't guess what you're thinking. Don't you just want me to help you spy on Namikaze? You also said that it's for my sake? Hearing this, Urahara Kazuki's face was a little embarrassed. Unexpectedly, after following him for a long time, Yoruichi's IQ seemed to rise in a straight line, and he was no longer as easy to fool as before. You think I don't want to, but the 5th team was recently sent to Hueco Mundo by the old man for scouting, and now it's an empty team house. What's the fun in going there? Really, that's really a pity. Urahara Kazuki's face gradually became serious. As soon as he heard that Namikaze Kirito was going to Hueco Mundo, he felt a little uneasy in his heart. You know, Aizen is also in Hueco Mundo now. It is definitely not a good thing for these two people to be together, just like when the Soul Society was in civil turmoil before. Urahara Kazuki also used his own means to monitor the Soul Society. After hearing Aizen's invitation to Namikaze Kirito, my heart was in my throat. What he was most worried about was that these two people, whom he couldn't see through, would get together. Not only would it be the Soul Society, it would be a disaster for the whole world. Namikaze Kirito and Aizen's combat power or IQ are both at the top level. Advertisement. Although there is Kurosaki Ichigo as a backup player, it still takes time for this backup player to grow. What's more, even if this backup player is prepared for Aizen, it may not be able to achieve the expected effect. If you add a Namikaze Kirito, it will be more comfortable if it is directly smashed. This point, the old man should also be worried. There must be his people in the 5th team. Why are you still worrying about it? Yoruichi said nonchalantly. The 5th team went to Soul Society, which means that Namikaze Kirito and Aizen may be in contact, but Mr. Yamamoto must also have this idea. He is not an honest person, who can constantly deal with the nobles of the Soul Society to seek benefits. Would such a person be a fool? So the nervous Yoruichi didn't worry at all that Aizen would use any means to win over Namikaze Kirito. I wish. Urahara Kazuki said softly. Unconsciously, it has been a month since Namikaze Kirito led the 5th team to Hueco Mundo. According to the time, they should be back today. Early in the morning, Jashiro was waiting on the plaza, and Kiraku Shunsui also came with him. Did he come here after receiving some orders? It was all because he wanted to see the excitement. Not long after, the gate of crossing the realm opened. A smiling Namikaze Kirito walked in slowly, followed by Matsumoto Rangaku, the first royal sister. Seeing this, Jashiro hastily greeted him. Thank you, Captain Namikaze, the captain has been waiting for a long time. I saw Namikaze Kirito waved his hand, and said indifferently, I don't have any hard work, but I don't know about them. Hearing this, both Jashiro and Kiraku Shunsui subconsciously looked towards the world transmitting gate. The members of the 5th division also walked in one by one at this time. It doesn't matter if you don't look at it. Jashiro and Jingle's eyes widened when they looked at it this way. Did they see the 5th division? Surely this isn't the lunatics from Team 11. Especially Jashiro, who sighed the most. You know, a month ago, he personally sent these people into Hueco Mundo. In just 1 month, what have these people experienced? None of the members of the 5th team is intact at this time. They all have injuries of different sizes, and some are still oozing bloodline. 390th chapters subduing the 5th team. Judging from the Ryotsu on them, each of them has the strength to get a seat in the team. In terms of the strength displayed, not to mention being able to crush a fighting force like the 11th squad. But it is absolutely fine to say that it is a counterbalance. You know, after what happened to Aizen, Jing Lingting has already investigated the other members of the 5th team. The result is obvious. After the academy, the grades are also at the middle level. The whole team is very average, basically there is nothing outstanding. This is the case, how could it be possible for these people with mediocre grades to undergo such a big change within a month? It's scary. Our captain Namikaze seems to be very harsh on these players. Jingle pushed the brim of her hat and said in a serious manner. How is it possible? I don't care less about alcohol than 010. The stock is almost consumed by these guys, and the treatment is quite high. Namikaze Kirito came to Jingle. Said exaggeratedly. Oh, I brought wine. Where is it? Jingle walked around Namikaze Kirito, and even went to look at the other members of the 5th division, but he didn't see any of them carrying their backs and saluting. Namikaze Kirito smiled and stretched out his right hand. A burst of black mist appeared, his hand was put into the black mist, and after a short while, he took out a flagon directly. Opened the bottle cap, and the overflowing aroma of wine also wafts away. Jingle's eyes lit up and he snatched the jug over. Captain Namikaze, are you still short of people? How about I apply to join the 5th division? Chunshui. Jashiro looked at his old friend helplessly. Ha ha ha, don't worry about it, I don't want to be seduced so easily, but Captain Namikaze said, his team members, the drinking is enough. Jingle spread her hands helplessly, expressing that the other party first seduced his. This bottle of wine is just a welcome gift. As for joining the 5th team, let's forget it. How can our team accommodate you? You are such a big Buddha. If you want to drink, come to my team building. After that, Namikaze Kirito waved his hand and left directly, followed by Matsumoto Rangaku. If it was said that he stayed in the 5th team only because he felt happy in the 5th team, then after going to Hueco Mundo this time, Matsumoto Rangaku sincerely intends to stay in the 5th team. Advertisement. One reason is that only Namikaze Kirito can keep making them stronger. As for another reason, Matsumoto Rangaku feels that only by following Namikaze Kirito can one get in touch with the secrets of this world, such as Aizen, or Ichimaru Jin. After returning to the team dormitory of the 5th team, every team member breathed a sigh of relief and fell directly on their own beds. No way, this month has been hell. In order to exercise their strength, Namikaze Kirito led them hunt Shu on the outside at first, and in the end, because most of the Shu were hiding, Namikaze Kirito took them directly to the Manos Grande forest. The forest of Manos Grande is where Manos Grande Jillian lives. Ordinary Shinigami, facing a Manos Grande of Jillian's level, are helpless at all, not to mention the gathering place of Manos Grande, where it is simply terrifying, and there is a danger of death if one is not careful. But as time gets along, these team members have become more and more trusting in Namikaze Kirito, not to mention the forest of Manos Grande. Even if they are allowed to go directly to the Void Knight Palace, they will dare to go. And the metamorphosis after experiencing life and death is also unusually significant. Everyone can feel that they are different from before, even in the face of Jillian, they can unite to defeat each other. It can be seen that the growth is fast. They thought that their efforts really got a response, but they didn't know that only Matsumoto Rangaku saw it. A thick black mist continuously gushes out from Namikaze Kirito's Zanpakuto. Not only is it protecting the team members from the danger of their lives, even the dark fog seems to have some feedback function. Every time the thick fog touches her, it feels like her strength is increasing day by day. So only Matsumoto Rangaku knew, it was the captain who helped them achieve what they are today. It made her heart full of respect for Namikaze Kirito. In just 1 month, all the players from Matsumoto Rangaku to the following have completely trusted Namikaze Kirito as much as they trusted Aizen, and even more. It can be seen that under the control of Namikaze Kirito, the model has already crossed a world. According to the return, after returning to the fan team of Soul Society, I have to report to the captain. After a day's rest, Namikaze Kirito took Matsumoto Rangaku with them, and the two came directly to the conference hall, where besides the General Captain Yamamoto, other captains and vice captains gathered here. Advertisement, isn't it just a job report? Father, why is there such a big fight? Namikaze Kirito said playfully. Silence. Captain Namikaze, don't be disrespectful to the captain. Even if the vice captains have a normal view of Namikaze Kirito, they also hate this kind of thing. Captain Namikaze, you went to Hueco Mundo this time, and you should have contacted the great sinner Aizen Sosuke, right? After all, Namikaze Kirito came out of nowhere and who knows what will happen, especially with Hueco Mundo involved. Matsumoto Rangaku looked at Mr. Yamamoto in disbelief. Huh? Grandpa Yamamoto opened his narrowed eyes slightly, and looked at Namikaze Kirito steadily. Okay, Namikaze Kirito, let me tell you what you think. Facing the eyes of everyone, Mr. Yamamoto didn't react too much, and directly hit the ground twice with the crutch in his hand. Being able to prevent the nobles from intervening, already 5.3 is the old man's bottom line. Namikaze Kirito seemed to have expected the other party to ask such a question a long time ago, and said directly, not only met Aizen, but also made a bet. As for the content of the bet, the old man should know everything about it. Yes, sir. Kiraku Shunsui, the old man of Yamamoto, stood up directly, with a helpless expression on his face. After all, only he can do this. Namikaze Kirito's words are easy to understand. It is clear that the captain has placed eyes in the 5th team, and these eyes will stare at Namikaze Kirito. Don't worry, Shojiro. As the captain, he must take precautions before they happen. Seeing that Mr. Yamamoto had spoken, Shojiro retreated to his seat. In fact, some people in the 5th division directly reported the movements of Namikaze Kirito to the old man, which is normal. Shojiro Sasaki, the deputy captain of the 1st team, saw that Namikaze Kirito showed no respect, so he couldn't help shouting loudly. The surrounding captains all had a clear look. Obviously, they could also understand this matter. Only the vice captains looked at the chief captain with horror on their faces. Open your mouth and say. Chapter 391 Vacation? Opinion? I don't have any opinion. It's just that I reached a small bet with Aizen. As for who will win this bet, it is still unknown. After saying this, Namikaze Kirito and Mr. Yamamoto looked at each other. None of the captains around said a word, and there was a hint of deep meaning in their eyes. Captain Namikaze, who do you think will win between us and Aizen? Mr. Yamamoto didn't have any emotion on his face, as if he was just casually asking about a trivial matter. Hearing this, Namikaze Kirito said without hesitation, we will win. Oh, there is no doubt about it, Aizen probably didn't think he would win in his heart. When I watched the original anime in my previous life, I knew that Kurosaki Ichigo defeated Aizen, who was sealed by Urahara Kazuki. But Kurosaki Ichigo, the child of destiny, did not have a happy expression on his face, but whispered, perhaps in Aizen's heart, he never thought of winning at all. Because the role of Hogyoku is to fulfill human wishes, Aizen voluntarily gave up his power. Aizen has been 29 since the beginning, no matter in knowledge or ability, no one can stand by his side, so he may subconsciously hope that someone can beat him. Urahara Kazuki was originally Aizen's confirmed candidate, but then Kurosaki Ichigo turned out to be nothing more. Listening to what Namikaze Kirito said, all the captains looked at each other in blank dismay. Looking at what Aizen has been doing at Soul Society, no one thinks he doesn't want to win. It's normal for them not to understand. Namikaze Kirito is the only one who has read the original work, so he can't visualize this anime. Let's read it from the perspective of these people, right? Now that the location of the traitor Aizen Sosuke has been figured out, the exploration of Hueco Mundo can also be over, and the various teams only need to continue to send the advance team. End of the meeting. Although I can't guess what Mr. Yamamoto is thinking, but since the order has been issued, the captains can only obey it. After coming out of the conference room, Matsumoto Rangaku's face was obviously hesitant to speak. Of course, Namikaze Kirito wanted to know what she was asking, and immediately spoke first. I think the old man is watching us, so he's not happy, right? Advertisement, I just didn't expect that the captain would not trust you so much. Hearing this, Namikaze Kirito turned his head and looked at Matsumoto Rangaku with great interest. Didn't he think that a trip to the virtual circle would make his subordinates trust him to such an extent? It seems that apart from the bet with Aizen, there is also a lot to gain. Don't worry, I don't care. What do you care about? It's just an eye, whatever, I didn't do anything. Besides, no one can stop me if I want to do anything. Hearing this sentence, Matsumoto Rangaku nodded in agreement. In Hueco Mundo, the Espada member was suffocatingly powerful, but he was still vulnerable to Namikaze Kirito. And when Aizen appeared, Matsumoto Rangaku's heart was in his throat, but unexpectedly, he was resolved by his captain. With such strength, what do you want to do? In the entire Soul Society, there are only a few people who can fight. Okay, now I just came back from Hueco Mundo. The captain allows you to take a temporary vacation, you can play wherever you want. Really, captain? As soon as she heard about the vacation, Matsumoto Rangaku didn't care about other thoughts. Her pretty face was full of excitement, and she could have a hangover again. Go, remember to come back in 2 days and complete team affairs. It's enough to have Yoshida 3 seats. He can complete the team affairs very well every time. Don't worry, I'll go first, captain. After all, without waiting for Namikaze Kirito to speak, she directly swung the pair of murder weapons and ran away quickly. Seeing this scene, Namikaze Kirito also shook his head helplessly and then walked aimlessly. At this moment, a strong man came towards him, with a bare chest, a ferocious face, and a Captain Hinori in the blindfold behind him. Needless to say, everyone knew who it was. Fighting Maniac, the captain of the 11th squad, Zaraki Kenpachi. I heard that Soul Society has a number 1 player like Namikaze Kirito, and Zaraki Kenpachi has long thought of fighting with him. However, he was recuperating from his injuries at the time, and he was powerless. Later, Namikaze Kirito became the captain of the 5th division. The captain even gave an order not to allow Zaraki Kenpachi to make trouble. After finally waiting for Namikaze Kirito to finish his tenure, he went to Hueco Mundo again. At this captain's meeting, Namikaze Kirito also discovered that Zaraki Kenpachi's exposed eye had been staring at him. Advertisement unexpectedly, I have been waiting here since I came out. Namikaze Kirito, this is our first conversation. Zaraki Kenpachi came directly in front of Namikaze Kirito, bared his teeth and smiled, as ugly as that smile could be. At the same time, a little pink-haired loli suddenly appeared on his shoulder, the deputy captain of the 11th team, Yachinryu. Yo-ho! Little Kirito, hello! Who doesn't love a pink-haired loli? So Namikaze Kirito didn't mind at all even if she was called Little Kirito, and waved her hand to greet her. Let's have a fight. Namikaze Kirito, Zaraki Kenpachi's eyes are full of fierce fighting intent. For a combat lunatic like him, there is nothing more enjoyable than cutting each other. If it was before, Namikaze Kirito might be bored and bump into each other, but now he wants to rest and rest. If you want to fight, let's do it another day. I'm going to drink now, why don't we go together? 733 to the power of 0. Apparently, Zaraki Kenpachi didn't expect Namikaze Kirito to answer like this. He came to ask him for a fight, but why did he ask him to drink? Go and drink after a fight. Really, now is a sensitive period. You also knew it at the meeting. I just had contact with Aizen. There are eyes all around me. Are you sure you want to fight the captain? Zaraki Kenpachi's character is the kind of person who is not afraid of anything and is dedicated to fighting, but facing the rules of the Soul Society, he is also extremely annoying. If Namikaze Kirito was surrounded by eyes, no surprises, when the two fought with each other, someone would stand up and stop him. Not only that, but it is estimated that the captain will issue a grounding order, which will be troublesome, and if you can't beat him, you will be grounded. Xiaojian, let's make an appointment to fight another day, it's really not suitable at this time. Worry. Although Zaraki Kenpachi was talking nonsense, Zaraki Kenpachi turned around and left very cooperatively. Yachinryu, who was sitting on his shoulder, waved again with Namikaze Kirito, and then the figures of the two gradually disappeared. In fact, it is a rest, and Namikaze Kirito plans to apply to Mr. Yamamoto to go to the present world. Urahara Kazuki still needs to get in touch with Masked Legion, not to mention, Destiny Child Kurosaki Ichigo is also alive. Chapter 392 Soaking in hot springs with Yoruichi. Except for Zaraki Kenpachi, none of the other captains bothered Namikaze Kirito. Originally, according to Kyoraku Shunsui's character, he should come to drink with him after the meeting, but there is no way. Mr. Yamamoto left him and Jashiro in the meeting room, saying that he had something to discuss. As a result, before going out, Namikaze Kirito clearly saw Jingle's eyes like a resentful woman. It seems to be saying, it's all your fault, what's the matter with Aizen, why don't you make me work overtime? Soon, he returned to the 5th team. After entering the team, every passing player looked at Namikaze Kirito with admiration and respect. This is similar to when Aizen was here before, but the difference is that Aizen just used them as marionettes to complete his character design as a good old man. Namikaze Kirito gave these players a new life, and it is no exaggeration to say that they helped them find themselves. Entering the captain's office, the desk beside Matsumoto Rangaku is empty. Needless to say, that woman is definitely not in the team. Either find a place to go for a big drink, or go to a meeting of some kind of female Shinigami member association. Really, it's okay for me to be the captain, and the vice captain is also salty fish, old man. Anyway, I told you in advance, I'm not interested in team affairs at all, and these guys seem to be acting strange now. Direction to grow. I saw the members of the 5th team outside the window. They're usually quiet, since they explored Hueco Mundo. Now they are training crazily in the square every day, fighting each other to prove their strength. Compared with the 11th team, this kind of passionate action is still worse. Anyway, the team has 3 seats to handle, so I, the captain, should take a good rest. In order to enjoy, Namikaze Kirito specially asked his staff to make a hot spring out of the backyard of the 5th team. Don't ask how the hot spring water comes from. As the Shinigami of Grandmaster Kido, is it difficult to bring in some hot spring water? Of course it's not difficult, and it's easy. The backyard has always been exclusive to Namikaze Kirito, and other team members will not come here to go to the hot springs. After all, there is also a special bathhouse in Jingling Court. Only Matsumoto Rangaku, occasionally drunk, would come here for a dip, but Namikaze Kirito was not there either. Looking at the pruned green plants in the backyard and the hot spring that constantly emits heat, Namikaze Kirito directly took off his clothes and entered it. I have to say that this hot spring is quite comfortable, and even has the effect of enhancing Ryotsu. Of course, the increased Ryotsu is minimal. Advertisement. He took out a few jars of wine and started drinking freely. This is called enjoying. Before Namikaze Kirito finished talking to himself, he looked at the green plants beside him and said helplessly, I said, do you have a habit of peeking at men taking a bath? As soon as the words fell, the rustling sound of Luigi's doctor came. Not long after, a smart black cat jumped out, walking forward step by step with elegant catwalks. Who cares to look at you? I just came here for fun. Who knows that you, as the captain of the 5th team, are still lazy here? Hearing this, Namikaze Kirito shrugged, took another sip of wine, and continued. With power, isn't the most important thing to do is to enjoy it? Do you want me to save the world? With you and Urahara Kazuki around, this kind of thing should not be my turn. The black cat didn't answer. Jumping directly into the hot spring, a burst of mist appeared, and the wheat-colored Yuji appeared in front of Namikaze Kirito. Yoruichi swam directly to Namikaze Kirito, snatched Namikaze Kirito's wine jar, and began to drink freely. This left Namikaze Kirito speechless for a while. Speaking of which, when they were in this world before, the two had met each other without reservation. At that time, he specially reminded Yoruichi, but he didn't expect that he didn't care at all. Because he held the wine jar to drink, Namikaze Kirito was able to clearly see the terrifying weapon through the fog. Compared with Matsumoto Rangaku, it is evenly matched. In contrast, Sister Wa is hard to describe. Namikaze Kirito shook his head, took another jar of wine and drank it. He didn't know why he suddenly thought of Sister Wa. If the other party finds out about this, they will probably threaten with a smile again. Hey, kid, what are you looking at? Are you fascinated by me? Seeing that Namikaze Kirito didn't speak, Yoruichi kept pouring wine there, and then leaned directly on Namikaze Kirito's body. Both of them could feel each other's warmth. Hey, what a kid who can't stand the temptation. Yoruichi's beautiful face showed a devilish smile. 2 canine teeth were exposed. No wonder she likes to look like a black cat. Advertisement. This behavior is very similar to that of a cat. Facing Yoruichi's teasing, Namikaze Kirito remained calm. According to your information, you should know that my vice captain has become Matsumoto Rangaku, right? Isn't he much stronger than you? What experience do I have? Can't help being tempted. Huh? Yoruichi didn't know whether it was because of anger or alcohol. A little blush appeared on her beautiful face. You really care about Aizen? Didn't Urahara Kazuki already have countless plans for Aizen? Plop. I heard you met Aizen? Huh? Namikaze Kirito squinted at Yoruichi. Are you not confident in yourself? The condition of my bet with him is that if he loses, he will join me. It seems that he is afraid that Namikaze Kirito will snatch the wine jar back in the next second. Hey, really, I said you people are really annoying. Aizen that B asterisk 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 D. Kazuki, and you little brat. Water splashes. Beautiful thinking. I stood up directly from the hot spring, and now I can see everything at a glance. My old lady can't compare to Matsumoto Rangaku. Kid, have you looked carefully? You can do it, but remember, after you do it, return the wine to me. Yoruichi sat directly on the side, hugged the wine jar and drank heavily. I said kid, that B asterisk 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 D is not easy. You bet with him, be careful to sell yourself. Yoruichi came directly to Namikaze Kirito's arms, holding Namikaze Kirito's throat tightly with a jade arm. Hey, kid, do you, Lee's, want to be beaten when you talk to me like that? The expression on Namikaze Kirito's face made Yoruichi even more annoyed. Okay, I got it, sit down quickly. Namikaze Kirito waved his hand and said perfunctorily, really, I don't know whether to say you were careless or overzealous. Or do you have exhibitionism? You like to take off your clothes and play when you have nothing to do? Hurry up and soak in the hot springs. Chapter 393 Yoruichi in arms. While drinking heavily, he said to Namikaze Kirito in a disgusted tone. She is not the type to use her brain, she usually does what Urahara Kazuki says, and to put it simply, she is a thug. Whether it is planning or intrigue, it has always been the most disgusting. But when someone like Aizen appears, no matter how disgusting he is, he still has to cooperate with Urahara Kazuki. This is not only for the Soul Society, but also for the whole world. Otherwise, if Aizen really achieves his goal, then the world will not be in chaos. As the princess of the Shihuan family, Yoruichi knows far more about the Soul King than anyone else. That's why Aizen has to be stopped. Hey, tell me, those two guys, don't take me with you, can you? We are not the same way. Namikaze Kirito spread his hands on the ground, lay on his back, and said lazily. It's the same with you, didn't you make a bet with Aizen, and what you said, it was also in a fog, and that B asterisk 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 D didn't understand what you were talking about. Oh, is he interested too? Hearing what Yoruichi said, Namikaze Kirito became interested. In Shinigami's original work, only Aizen and Urahara Kazuki are the type of thinking, and they both understand the horror of each other. 637. It would be very interesting if these two people could be brought under his command. Of course he is interested. Ah, good wine. Yoruichi put down the wine jar and wiped his mouth carelessly. After drinking a pot of wine, the blush on her face became more and more obvious, and she became less heroic and more charming. Now is not the time to tell him, let him have a headache for a while, and when he wants to know the truth, let him beg me. Namikaze Kirito's tone was full of evil. When he was in this world before, he was tempted by Urahara Kazuki crazily. Even if he knew the character of the other party, Namikaze Kirito would not get angry easily, and Shin would inevitably be awkward. It's also fun to have Urahara Kazuki in trouble now, isn't it? Hearing this, Yoruichi gave Namikaze Kirito a blank look, and said angrily, I just said you are all bastards. I really don't know what you were thinking, but fortunately, I don't need to waste my brain, otherwise, I would be exhausted. Hello, is there any wine? Give me another jar. You use your brain? Do you have that thing? There is plenty of wine. Do you want to ask me to try it? Huh? The veins on Yoruichi's forehead popped, and it was obvious, CJDD, that she was P asterisk 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 D off. But then he seemed to think of something again, and came directly to Namikaze Kirito, and the two had close contact again. Advertisement. I saw Yoruichi's beautiful cheek gradually approaching Namikaze Kirito. Hey, kid, do you still want me to beg you for a jug of wine? How should I beg you? Do you need my sister to teach you how to become an adult? Namikaze Kirito was dumbfounded. Who did the other party think of him as? You must know that in the world of Hokage and pirates, there are many women. Even Matsumoto Rangaku, who tried to make fun of him, got his first kiss taken away. I didn't expect Yoruichi to post it like this directly. You're playing with fire, you know that? I saw Namikaze Kirito stretch out a hand, directly looking at Yoruichi's smooth shoulder. This kind of contact made Yoruichi blush, but she quickly realized that she was making fun of Namikaze Kirito. How could he be laughed at by the other party? Judging from the other party's previous actions in this world, it is obvious that he should be just a big boy. This is a deceptive trick. It must be a hoax. Yes, it must be so, Yoruichi comforted himself inwardly. Although there are many activities in his heart, his face still has that frivolous look. Yoruichi stretched out a delicate finger and hooked Namikaze Kirito's chin. Little devil, when I'm messing around with Soul Society, you don't know where you're hiding, don't you? Plop. Before Yoruichi finished speaking, the water suddenly splashed a lot. Namikaze Kirito turned over and directly grabbed Yoruichi's wrist. His eyes were full of danger. I saw that the two were very close, and they could feel each other's breath. What do you want to do? Let me tell you, let me go quickly, or you will have to dismantle your fifth team. At this moment, Yoruichi couldn't help but panic. How could she have imagined that Namikaze Kirito had such courage? After uttering the threatening words, it took a long time to hear the other party's response. Yoruichi turned his dodging eyes back in doubt, only to see Namikaze Kirito's handsome face was full of smiles. Is this clearly mocking her for being flustered? Just kidding, how could she be flustered by a brat? He forced himself to suppress the panic in his heart. Yoruichi teased and said, Really, I'm teasing you, I didn't expect you to be fooled, so what if you hold me down? Do you dare? Kid, don't say I didn't remind you, I can? Oh. Advertisement this time, Yoruichi's mouth was blocked directly, and her eyes widened. Because of the excessive shock, he forgot to resist for a while. Don't forget, both of them are in the hot spring at this time, their faces are stuck together, how could Namikaze Kirito let each other go? A dark barrier immediately sealed off the entire backyard. You asked for it. Before Yoruichi could speak, he felt a piercing hurt in an instant. Reality. Urahara Kazuki sneezed. Tessai Tsukabishi on the side looked at him strangely. Manager, do you have a cold? How is it possible? Urahara Kazuki rubbed his nose, wondering why he suddenly caught a cold. At the same time, it seemed as if something was lost in his heart. As a wise man, he never felt that his intuition was a problem. His eyes froze for an instant. Could it be Aizen's side? Hearing this, Tessai Tsukabishi is also full of seriousness. I haven't received any news from Hueco Mundo, which is now ruled by Aizen, and the news can't be spread at all, but the Soul Society hasn't made any big moves at the moment, and there is no Ryotsu reaction in reality. It should be not Aizen. If it's not Aizen, then there's only Namikaze Kirito. This guy is too mysterious. He actually said that there is an existence above the Spirit King? Speaking of this, Urahara Kazuki also shuddered. When he heard the news, he didn't dismiss it, but seriously considered it. If there is something above the Spirit King, it is impossible for the Soul Society to discover nothing. After all, the Spirit King is already the center that maintains the entire world, and it is no exaggeration to say that he is the god of creation. But it is such a great existence, and there are things on it. It's hard to imagine what it is and what kind of history it has. Meanwhile, Urahara Kazuki is also interested in the bet between Aizen and Namikaze Kirito. Once this bet is reached, the two must be hostile. Chapter 394 Captain, do you have any hobbies? With the arrogance of Namikaze Kirito and Aizen, both must want to take each other under their command, which gave Urahara Kazuki a dose of reassurance. What he is most worried about is that the two will cooperate. Now that this bet is made, he can now consider the countermeasures against Aizen with peace of mind. As for Namikaze Kirito, thinking of the handsome young man in his mind, Urahara Kazuki had a headache. The most troublesome thing is the unknown. For him, the current Namikaze Kirito has unknown strength, unknown background, and even what the other party said is also unknown. In this case, it has to be said that it is too difficult to formulate means or plans. What's more, the current Namikaze Kirito has not done anything that endangers the world like Aizen, and he can't try it. After all, the other party is a smart person. Once he finds out that it is someone from his side who is going to test him, then don't think about it. Even if it is not hostile, it will become hostile. From the first day when the two met, Namikaze Kirito said that he hated other people's algorithms very much. It just so happens that Urahara Kazuki is someone who can do calculations. Hey, what a headache. Urahara Kazuki rubbed the center of his brows, lost in thought again. Soul Society, the backyard of the team building of the 5th Division. At this time, Sanshi at the backyard entrance was looking depressed. He knew that his family must be resting inside and wanted to report to work, but now the entire backyard was covered by an enchantment, and he couldn't get in at all. Matsumoto Rangaku, as the vice captain, didn't know where he went. He was one of the 3 seats under pressure that he shouldn't have to bear. From this enchantment, the captain's Ryotsu can be felt, that is to say, the captain is definitely not in danger. Let's report back later. Sanshi sighed and turned to leave. Inside the hot spring in the backyard, there's mist. The two of them were resting against the wall of the hot spring at this moment. From the messy ground around them and the scars on the flowers and trees, they could know how tragic the battle situation was just now. This is because Namikaze Kirito was merciful because he was worried about Yoruichi's first situation. Otherwise, it is estimated that the backyard will not be repaired in a short time. At this time, the two are enjoying the moderate temperature hot spring. I don't know if it's the water drops from the hot spring or sweat on my body. You be asterisk 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 d. How? After the battle, now Yoruichi has sobered up. Thinking of what happened just now, she has a headache. Even with her weed-colored skin, she can clearly see the blush on her pretty face. Advertisement. The whole person seemed to have collapsed, leaning all his weight on the stone wall of the hot spring. Hearing Yoruichi's stammered words, Namikaze Kirito couldn't help laughing. What are you laughing at? B asterisk 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 D. Are you courting death? Yoruichi raised his small fist and looked at Namikaze Kirito with bared teeth. Not only is it embarrassing, but even the most precious thing is lost. I didn't laugh on purpose, sorry. Although he was embarrassed, Namikaze Kirito still had a smile in his eyes. You said it wasn't intentional, since you started just now, you haven't stopped at all, Yoruichi said angrily. Really? Then I really didn't pay attention, I'm really sorry. If it works, why do you need a law enforcement team? Huh? Namikaze Kirito raised a big question mark on his head. Do you want law enforcement to catch me? Nonsense. You little brat is too bad. If you let it go, I don't know what it will do to other female Shinigami. It's better to catch you earlier, Yoruichi said, viciously. You mean I forced you? That's right, if you want to apologize, say yes. Obviously, apart from the initial resistance, you were very cooperative and even took the initiative. Boom. There was a burst of water splashing in front of Namikaze Kirito, and fist cracked the hot spring. Fortunately, the hot spring has several layers, and it was dug out from the ground, so it wouldn't lose all the hot spring water in an instant. You say, what, threatened word by word. I didn't say anything, I said you were cooperating with me just now, and even took the initiative. Originally, Yoruichi nodded in satisfaction when he heard the previous sentence, but when he heard the latter, he immediately became angry, stood up, and planned to punch the opponent directly, but unexpectedly at this moment, a tearing pain spread come. This caused Yoruichi to slip and leap forward, bumping into a warm Wong in an instant. Are you going to hit me, or throw yourself into your arms? Rot. Hearing Namikaze Kirito's slightly magnetic voice, Yoruichi blushed and planned to get out of the opponent's arms, but obviously, Namikaze Kirito would not give her this chance. Slowly and firmly with both hands, he hugged Yoruichi's delicate parrot to the king of Y. Advertisement softly said, Don't move, who made you so crazy for the first time, take a good rest. Sensing the concern in Namikaze Kirito's tone, Yoruichi stopped struggling. The two hugged each other like this until the lights came on. There was a rustling sound, and Yoruichi, who was already dressed, looked at Namikaze Kirito with complicated eyes. I gotta go. When are you coming back? I don't know, I don't really want to see you be asterisk 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 D recently. 0. Be careful, don't be so reckless, raise your fist at every turn, if there is any danger, you can come to the 5th team to find me, and I will solve it. Hearing this, Yoruichi's heart warmed up, but she shook her head immediately to shake off the warmth. Even though she gave Namikaze Kirito the most precious thing, it doesn't mean she has fallen in love with him. The two have only met 3 or 4 times, and it's far from being in love, at most it's just a good impression, but after today, the brand of Namikaze Kirito will definitely be engraved in her heart. I am leaving. After saying these 3 words, Yoruichi disappeared in front of Namikaze Kirito directly with the darkness, and the barrier had already dissipated the moment the two of them put on their clothes. Captain Tilda. At this moment, a drunken and seductive voice sounded, and Matsumoto Rangaku walked in, shaking the murder weapon again. Seeing the messy scene in the backyard, Matsumoto Rangaku only felt that his wine seemed to be a little sober, and even rubbed his eyes vigorously with his jade hand, as if he felt that he was hallucinating. After a while, Matsumoto Rangaku took a closer look and was sure it wasn't a hallucination. So he looked at Namikaze Kirito with unbelievable eyes. Captain, do you have any dissatisfaction with the hot spring? No, Namikaze Kirito said angrily. Then you don't like these flowers and plants? I see, you must have special hobbies, Captain, you. If you don't want to be beaten, just shut up. Chapter 395, Sage Mode. You want to beat me up? Matsumoto Rangaku showed an exaggerated expression. Captain, are you trying to kill me? But tomorrow the team members will find out the tragedy here too? They all wondered what their captain did sneakily in the hot spring, and they even said, "Aw." Before Matsumoto Rangaku finished speaking, she felt a gust of wind blowing in front of her, and then, the handsome face of Namikaze Kirito appeared in her eyes. With exclamation, Matsumoto Rangaku was hugged by Namikaze Kirito like a princess. It seems that I told you to shut up, you can't hear clearly after drinking too much. If that's the case, I'll help you wake up from the bar. After saying that, Namikaze Kirito threw his hands away. Crash. Throw Matsumoto Rangaku directly into the hot spring. Team leader. Matsumoto Rangaku stood up from the hot spring, drenched all over, and shouted, 617. Because of the wetness, the Death Tyrant costume was tightly attached to the body, and normally, the whiteness of the murder weapon could be seen, but now because of the impact, most of it was exposed. But Namikaze Kirito didn't have any appreciation in his eyes at the moment. Instead he said with a smirk, Vice Captain Matsumoto is here to wake up the bar, and the captain is going to have a drink. Captain, you don't have any intention of pity, you are a big straight man, it seems that you should not be placed in the 7th place most popular among female Shinigami. Matsumoto Rangaku said angrily, what is most popular with female Shinigami is entirely something made by their so-called female Shinigami associations. The reason why it is ranked 7th is that Namikaze Kirito has just come to Soul Society, and the Shinigami do not know his character yet. The second is because of Hinamori Momo, some female Shinigami complained about him. It is worth mentioning that he ranks 3rd in the list of male Shinigami looks. Listening to what Matsumoto Rangaku said, Namikaze Kirito smiled and did not answer. Still pity the fragrance and cherish the jade? Just kidding, after the fierce battle with Yoruichi, he is now in the sage mode, How could he have any thoughts of pity the fragrance and cherish the jade? Then he turned and left, ignoring Matsumoto Rangaku who was still sober. After the Hueco Mundo incident, the 5th team still had some leisure time. Today, Namikaze Kirito was called to the office by the captain again. Advertisement. Seeing Mr. Yamamoto sitting on the chair alone in the office, Namikaze Kirito was not polite. He went directly to the desk and sat down, and said in a helpless tone, "I said, Mr. Yamamoto, you are too troublesome. I have just finished this mission. Do you want to assign tasks again?" Faced with Namikaze Kirito's rude behavior, Mr. Yamamoto didn't react either. Shen Sheng said, "You are the most suitable for this task, so I plan to let you go." "What mission?" "Go to Karakura Town." "Karakura Town? Isn't there Rukia Kuchiki and Agent Shinigami Kurosaki Ichigo there now? Is there anything the captain should be busy with?" Namikaze Kirito wondered. Indeed, according to the original plot, now is the growth period of Kurosaki Ichigo and the protagonists. It seems that there is no big event that requires the appearance of captains, right? "Urahara Kazuki, that man sent me a message, wanting to exchange information about Aizen. You are the most familiar with him. Letting you go to this world is the best way." Urahara Kazuki. As soon as the name was mentioned, Namikaze Kirito's eyes lightened up. They are also smart people, and he sensed something was wrong from this news. What was the exchange of Aizen's information? If there is really information about Aizen, he would just hand it over to the old man, not to mention what secrets does this soul society have to hide from him. This is obviously what he has guessed. If it is about exchanging information, Mr. Yamamoto will definitely let him go to the present world. In other words, this wave is directed at oneself. Really, what do you want to say? Wouldn't it be better to come directly to the 5th division? Although Namikaze Kirito had already guessed Urahara Kazuki's intentions, the same feeling as Yoruichi rose in his heart. People like Urahara Kazuki, no matter what they want to do, they have to twist and turn, so they won't go straight. Dealing with this kind of person is really tiring. But it's good to play in the present life. After all, the present life here is the most similar to the blue star in the previous life. By the way, old man, after this matter is over, can you give me a vacation? Mr. Yamamoto didn't speak. He put his hands on the desk and leaned on his chin. It was obvious that he was really thinking seriously. Advertisement. Hey, it's agreed that I have autonomy. After becoming the captain, you didn't let me idle. Hearing this, the old man nodded. I see. When you come back, I will arrange your vacation. That's about the same. After saying that, Namikaze and the people turned and left. Going to the present world also needs to pass through the world transmitting gate. Namikaze Kirito first returned to the 5th team to explain to the team members, and then walked to the location of the world transmitting gate. Just a touch with Urahara Kazuki, so it doesn't take too many people, not even Matsumoto Rangaku, to bring along. This made Matsumoto Rangaku pouting and complaining that Namikaze Kirito was going on earthly leave in the name of a mission. The most important thing now is Hueco Mundo, but there is not much danger in this world. So it's okay to take a vacation. At the crossing gate, Namikaze Kirito's figure gradually disappeared in the eyes of several guards. Soon, a blue sky, white clouds and busy streets appeared in front of Namikaze Kirito. Looking at the humans in modern clothes around him, he couldn't help but feel a sense of intimacy. Huh? I won the lottery right after I left the house? Namikaze Kirito looked back, and at this time, on the street not far away, a void with a height of half a floor was unscrupulously chasing some wandering souls to eat. A little girl ran to Namikaze Kirito in a panic, thinking that she would pass through Namikaze Kirito's body. 5.8. After all, she is a wandering soul and will not touch people. As a result, with a bang, the little girl hit Namikaze Kirito's stomach directly, and because she ran too hard, she fell to the ground instead. Holding his red nose, tears flowed out. Why did we bump into each other? The little girl looked puzzled. She had not been a wandering spirit for long, and she was still enjoying the unscrupulous freedom to travel. There have never been any problems, but when I ran for my life, I bumped into a person. Big brother, run. There are monsters. Namikaze Kirito also can't laugh or cry. He really met the jackpot, and he met Shu when he first came to this world. Don't worry, don't be afraid, just hide behind me. The soft words sounded, and the little girl subconsciously believed in the good-looking big brother in front of her. Chapter 396. Big Bug, hey, where did you hide? Boom boom boom. Shu's huge body was constantly moving, making deafening noises, while the surrounding people were still busy with their own affairs. I didn't notice anything wrong. After all, there are only a small number of people with spiritual power. Humans without spiritual power cannot perceive Shinigami in virtual existence. Got you. Looking condescendingly at Namikaze Kirito and the little girl behind him, he made a laughing sound, as if seeing his proud prey. Big brother. The little girl grabbed Namikaze Kirito's clothes full of fear, her voice trembling. Oh, are you not afraid of me? Seeing Namikaze Kirito's calm expression, a trace of human surprise appeared on Shu's face. From his birth to the present, he has eaten a lot of wandering souls, and these wandering souls are all terrified when they meet him. And he also found fun in it, that is to make these wandering souls think that they can survive and run away directly, while he chases them leisurely. After catching up to 29, eat it in one go. Originally, he wasn't from Karakura Town, but the little girl you met this time was really good at running, and she brought him here. Before chasing the little girl, in another area, I also met a guy in black who called himself Shinigami. I thought that the other party was carrying a weapon, which might be troublesome, but it turned out to be a silver gun with a wax head, which is not very useful, and it didn't take long before it became his ration. After devouring that Shinigami, he also successfully transformed into his current body shape, and the Ryotsu on his body overflowed in all directions. Now I saw a man in black clothes, and the other man also had a weapon on his waist, so I couldn't help but become interested. Hey, you guy, the smell should be good, right? It seems that you are a weaker guy, and you don't have the good smell of the person who called himself Shinigami before. Shu said to himself, and even compared Namikaze Kirito to a weak person, because he could not feel the information from Namikaze Kirito. Really, I didn't mean to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger. The Ryotsu on my body should not be deliberately suppressed. I see, because you are as weak as a maggot, so you can't feel the breath on my body? Namikaze Kirito teased. Indeed, sometimes, whether it is Shu or Shinigami, including human beings, when facing a strong person of a different dimension from their own, the brain will subconsciously affect the senses. Advertisement as a result, you can't feel the other party's breath at all. Just like human beings, without spiritual power, they have no ability to resist Shu and Shinigami, so they cannot see the existence of spirit bodies. Likewise, the reason why the hollow in front of him can't feel Namikaze Kirito's Ryotsu is because his own senses have deceived him. But even if you can't feel the breath, you can still hear what Namikaze Kirito is saying. Maggots? You actually called me a maggot? You damn thing, I want to eat you, roar? Shu roared towards the sky. The sound was extremely penetrating. The little girl behind Namikaze Kirito directly covered her ears with her hands, and screamed out in fear. Hey, that's right, that's the cry. I like you the most. Hey, you should be a Shinigami too, right? Why don't you beg me and give that little girl to me to eat? If that's the case, how about letting you run? Hollow in front of him still said to Namikaze Kirito recklessly. He felt that he was called weak by the other party, and he must have deliberately bluffed him, and maybe his heart was already trembling at this moment. So I plan to give Namikaze Kirito a chance to live. The little girl wandering soul also looked helplessly at Namikaze Kirito, her eyes full of pleading. Don't worry, such a guy is just a big bug. How could I hand you over? Namikaze Kirito stroked the top of the little girl's head and said with a smile. Seemingly infected by what Namikaze Kirito said, the little girl burst out laughing. Take a closer look, although the phantom in front of you is huge, but overall it does look like a big bug. The little girl's smile directly made the Shu in front of her become angry with embarrassment, opened her bloody mouth, and rushed towards Namikaze Kirito and the little girl. Go to hell, bastards, how dare you laugh at me? That bloody mouth could have swallowed a truck at once, but that's why Namikaze Kirito was about to get in front of him. Shu suddenly felt a powerful aura appearing on the man in front of him. Boom! As soon as the momentum appeared, Shu was pressed to the ground. Namikaze Kirito's eyes were indifferent, and he didn't seem to be surprised by this scene. Sense blocked. That's easy, just use Ryotsu for a little manipulation to restore the other senses. So this is not Conqueror's Haki at all, nor is it its own momentum. Conqueror's Haki is useless against Shu, and there is no need to release momentum to deal with this Shu. It just made him feel Ryotsu in himself. Advertisement. But, damn it, what is this? Ka. Shu was pressed tightly to the ground by this Ryotsu, and there was a crackling sound from his body. At this moment, two black shadows flashed, and Kurosaki Ichigo and Rukia Kuchiki appeared in front of Namikaze Kirito. Captain Namikaze, Brother Namikaze, then I want to become a Buddha. The void on the ground was still screaming crazily. Rukia Kuchiki saluted Namikaze Kirito immediately, and Kurosaki Ichigo also ran over excitedly. Well, see you soon. In an instant, the face of Shu, who was still shouting in front of him, changed, and with a roar, he was directly reduced to ashes, not even a trace of blood left. But I didn't expect that Shu of this level would not be able to climb up without even making a move. Will I be able to see my parents after I become a Buddha? It's coming too slowly. On the other side, Kurosaki Ichigo looked at Shu, who kept struggling to get up in front of him, and was also very surprised, although he knew that Namikaze Kirito was very strong. Big brother, I'm going to see my parents, thank you very much. Namikaze Kirito stretched out his little finger and clasped his ears, and then directly increased Ryotsu's exposure. After all, there is a little girl wandering around now. Namikaze Kirito doesn't want to make the scene too disgusting. What a rowdy fellow. Rukia Kuchiki also told the little girl about wandering souls going to become Buddhas at this time. Well, because I was going to school just now, I'm sorry, Captain 587 Namikaze. Rukia Kuchiki said with some embarrassment that she was going to school. The little girl agreed to let Rukia Kuchiki give her a direct rescue, but before leaving, she looked at Namikaze Kirito again and showed a sweet smile. I'm going to kill you, you guys, goodbye. Namikaze Kirito also showed a soft color on his face, and said goodbye with a smile. Chapter 397. What do you think of Aizen? Oh, it's an honor that Kirito-kun came here in person. In the Urahara store, Urahara Kazuki was still in the same unscrupulous manner at this time, shaking a small fan, and said to Namikaze Kirito beside him. Namikaze Kirito and Kurosaki Ichigo came to the Urahara store together after giving the little girl a wandering soul to become a Buddha. Is it an honor or not? The news you sent to the Soul Society is that you intend to let me come? Namikaze Kirito sat directly on the tatami mat, and regardless of what Urahara Kazuki thought, he picked up the snacks on the table and ate them. This snack is really good, remember to bring me some when I leave. I saved that one for tea. Urahara Kazuki's face hurt. Kurosaki Ichigo walked up to Namikaze Kirito and bowed directly. Brother Namikaze, thank you for saving your life twice. Thank you for saving your life. Why don't I remember that I saved you? Namikaze Kirito said indifferently while eating his snacks. According to Kurosaki Ichigo's perspective, the first time when Byakuya Kuchiki appeared, Namikaze Kirito stood up, causing Byakuya Kuchiki not to continue to shoot. The second time was when Soul Society, Aizen appeared, and it was Namikaze Kirito who held the other party back and let those Shinigami come. You know, when Kurosaki Ichigo faced Aizen at that time, his full blow was also blocked by the opponent with his fingers. So Kurosaki Ichigo unilaterally believed that he was saved by Namikaze Kirito both times. Brother Namikaze, whether you admit it or not, you saved me. Thank you. Kurosaki Ichigo bowed his head heavily again to express his gratitude. In fact, Namikaze Kirito tried not to affect the original plot at this time in order to avoid the advance attention of the world order. Although he is the captain of the fifth team, it is not harmful. After all, after Aizen left, the fifth team has been empty. Now that I have received the protagonist's gratitude, I don't know if it is a big change. Urahara Kazuki also said at this time, Kirito-kun is really smart. You know from just a few words that I intend to let you come to this world. If you don't have a good brain when dealing with people like you will probably be sold by you, and you will have to count the money for you. How can Kirito-kun look at me like that? Urahara Kazuki made an exaggerated expression. Advertisement Namikaze Kirito didn't pay attention to the other party's funny, but looked around with his eyes. It stands to reason that after Yoruichi left Soul Society, she should return to the Urahara store, but she was not seen around. Even perception cannot perceive the opponent's Ryatsu. Kirito-kun is looking for Yoruichi-san, right? Urahara Kazuki obviously saw Namikaze Kirito's movements, and then continued to speak. Yoruichi-san should be with you, and had a lot of things with you, so she left early as soon as she heard that you were coming. While talking, Urahara Kazuki winked at Namikaze Kirito. Kirito-kun, what happened between you? Could it be like this? 31 of Hado, Red Cannon. Boom. Before Urahara Kazuki could finish speaking, he was directly sent flying by the oncoming red flames, smashing the door of the room. This is just the Kido issued by Namikaze Kirito with a little bit of Ryatsu, so it doesn't have much power, but it's just that the long hair may not be able to keep it. Sure enough, Urahara Kazuki immediately stood up. He kept beating the flame on his head. Hot, burn me to death, Kirito-kun, you shot too hard. Watching Urahara Kazuki dancing there, Kido, who revealed that Tai Li directly used the water system on the side, gave him a shock. A lot of the hair on the head was burned off, half of the hat was gone, and the rest of the body was black. Now Urahara Kazuki looks so funny zero. And Namikaze Kirito took a sip of tea unhurriedly, and said flatly, Tell me, you asked me to come, what do you want to tell me about Aizen? Upon hearing Aizen's name, Kurosaki Ichigo and Rukia Kuchiki also looked nervous. The name is now a taboo in the Soul Society. What Aizen committed in the Soul Society can be expressed in more than just the word sin. Let's not talk about his defection, let's say that he slaughtered the 46 rooms. If he is caught, those nobles will not make him feel good. Advertisement, Kirito-kun, you met Aizen in Hueco Mundo, what do you think of him? Stand and watch, he didn't move a chair for me, can I sit on the ground? Hearing that, Urahara Kazuki was full of helplessness, and it was him who made that indecent appearance on weekdays to make others headache. Today, when the retribution came to him, he realized that he deserved such a beating on weekdays. Kirito-kun, I am seriously asking, Aizen is an existence that can threaten the world, not to mention that you have also made a bet. Learn more about his information, so that if we make a move, you can save some trouble, right? Oh, Namikaze Kirito glanced at Urahara Kazuki with interest, and said, Are you really not afraid of feeling hopeless after listening to it? Of course not, someone has to do these things, whether it's me, the Soul Society, or even the Ichigo-kun in front of me, they won't let Aizen bring the whole world into the abyss. Namikaze Kirito looked at Urahara Kazuki steadily. He is familiar with the original plot, of course he knows that the most serious threat to the Soul Society and even the whole world is not Aizen. It was Johabak of the Invisible Empire afterwards. It's not that Aizen is not strong enough, but that he has always hoped that someone can defeat him. How could such an idea threaten the whole world? But one thing Urahara Kazuki said is right, he is really lazy. If Urahara Kazuki and others, Li Nuzhou, directly defeat Aizen as in the original plot, it will save him a shot. Aizen established the Void Palace in Hueco Mundo, and his men made everything except Ichimaru Jin and Tusen Kanami as you know. Espada are the top 10 voids standing in Hueco Mundo, the first few blades are even Vasto Lord level, the rest are also Ajuka's level, all of them have borrowed Hogyoku Arankar, which means they are higher than those Masked Legion the presence. When mentioning Masked Legion, Urahara Kazuki's pupils constricted. He didn't expect that Namikaze Kirito even knew Hiriko Shinji and others. This made Urahara Kazuki think about what Namikaze Kirito said to Aizen. Above the Spirit King, there is something even higher. For the current Soul Society, it is very difficult to win against Aizen. Of course, when this guy grows up, he will probably be fine. Namikaze Kirito pointed to the bewildered Kurosaki Ichigo. Chapter 398 Do you want to go to school? Kurosaki Ichigo pointed to his own face, a look of disbelief. At the moment when Soul Society faced Aizen, Kurosaki Ichigo once again felt what is called the gap in strength, the first time it was brought to him by Byakuya Kuchiki. The difference is that when he has been exercising for a while, he has been able to defeat Byakuya Kuchiki. And even though it has been a long time since the civil strife in the Soul Society, he has experienced a lot of battles, and he is much stronger than then. But Kurosaki Ichigo still can't figure out what kind of strength Aizen is. It's like he is facing Namikaze Kirito now, and he can't see that there is a little Ryotsu in the other party. After getting along with Rukia Kuchiki for a long time, he already knows the general common sense. If he can't feel the Ryotsu of the other party, or it is hidden too deeply, such as Urahara Kazuki, or it is so strong that it allows one's own feelings to be directly and selectively blocked. Obviously, Aizen is the latter, as is Namikaze Kirito. So when Namikaze Kirito said that he would be the key to fight against Aizen, he absolutely didn't believe it. Kurosaki Ichigo has self-knowledge, an enemy with that kind of strength, how can he deal with it now? Kuki 130 Wood Rukia also had an unbelievable look on his face. Only Urahara Kazuki glanced thoughtfully at Kurosaki Ichigo, and then looked at Namikaze Kirito again. Kirito-kun, is Ichigo really the key to fighting Aizen in the future? Isn't this your plan? Why ask me? Yes, I see. Urahara Kazuki stood up, shook the remaining half of the fan in his hand, and said, Ichigo-kun, why don't you practice with me in the future? I will teach you well. Hearing Urahara Kazuki's words, Kurosaki Ichigo thought of his life-threatening practice again, and quickly shook his head. There is no need to practice, there are a lot of voids here recently, and I don't have time. That's really a pity. Urahara Kazuki showed a regretful expression. For some reason, he paid special attention to what Namikaze Kirito said, and after hearing that Kurosaki Ichigo was the key to dealing with Aizen, he became more determined in his plan to implement. Advertisement: the espada built by Aizen with Hogyoku may be just a random thing for him, and even in the original book, he even solved a few people himself. But for Urahara Kazuki and Soul Society's Shinigami, it was a hopeless existence. If it wasn't for Kurosaki Ichigo who singled out a few of them, and was killed by the captain who went to Hueco Mundo. In an all-out attack, I am afraid that Soul Society may not be able to say that it is a sure win just by facing Espada. After all, the captain with the strongest combat power also has a Prince of Extinguishing Fire, who specializes in dealing with him. So knowing that Espada is composed of Vasto Lord and Akachus, Urahara Kazuki's brain is also working fast. So, what's your information? You won't let me come here, but you just use my information? While eating snacks, Namikaze Kirito still did not forget his letting go. Hearing this, Urahara Kazuki said with a smile, the information on my side is definitely not as detailed as yours. The only information is the composition of Hogyoku and what changes will happen after Aizen truly merges with Hogyoku. Then Urahara Kazuki explained the creation process and specific functions of Hogyoku in detail. Kurosaki Ichigo's eyes widened when he heard that he could realize the desires of people's hearts, and even fuse with it to make him immortal. He felt that he could not be Aizen's opponent even more. Can any wish of a person be fulfilled? This is like a cheating device in the game. How can such an enemy be dealt with? Namikaze Kirito looked at Urahara Kazuki playfully. Don't look at the horror he said about the combination of Aizen and Hogyoku. In the end, didn't he use all kinds of means until he subdued Aizen? CJDG. Just like Yuhabak's evaluation of these hostile people, among the four major powers, Urahara Kazuki's means are endless. It is possible that after a face-to-face meeting, he can think of 100 ways to deal with you. That's the benefit of being smart. It took a long time before Urahara Kazuki finished talking about Hogyoku, and the sky was getting dark. By the way, Kirito-kun, during this time, you are staying in this world, do you have a place to go? I have not decided yet. Advertisement coming to the present world this time is not just as simple as exchanging information. Before telling Namikaze Kirito to travel, Mr. Yamamoto also said that the ghosts of Karakura Town do appear frequently recently. Not only that, the Inspection Bureau also felt the unknown Ryotsu, so I want Namikaze Kirito to stay in this world for a while. With a character at the captain level here, even any emergencies can be easily resolved. Just like the Shu I met before, he ate the Shinigami who was responsible for the security work there before he arrived at Karakura Town. Kirito-kun, do you want to go to school? I can prepare a skeleton for you here, Urahara Kazuki said, enthusiastically. If you want to be seen by others in this world, you must have righteousness. Otherwise, if you maintain your spiritual body, others will not be able to see you at all. So once Shinigami wants to wander around in this world, he needs a skeleton, just like Rukia Kuchiki at this time. Urahara Kazuki's unreasonable enthusiasm didn't make Namikaze Kirito feel guarded. Like Rukia Kuchiki before, the matter of tampering with the skeleton is completely untenable for Namikaze Kirito. With the special ability of the three worlds, what's more, in the pirate world, Namikaze Kirito has obtained the power of the soul fruit, and he is not inferior to others in terms of souls. Furthermore, before Urahara Kazuki is sure, she will never provoke Namikaze Kirito for no reason. The matter of Aizen has not been resolved yet. If he provokes such a combat power again, it will be his own bad luck. Now that Namikaze Kirito still holds the title of Gode 13, captain of the 5th Division, Hyuga's steady Urahara Kazuki can't do that. But at this time, there was indeed a trace of mystery on his face. If you want to find out what the opponent's intention is, the best way is to enter the game. Just listen to Namikaze Kirito's slow opening. Okay. That's great, don't worry, Kirito-kun. I will definitely give you the most comfortable skeleton, of course, in terms of money. Urahara Kazuki rubbed his hands excitedly, looking like a financial fan. Money? Just go to Mr. Yamamoto and ask for it. Remember to mention me there? Hearing this, Urahara Kazuki's originally happy face drooped instantly, although because of Aizen and Namikaze Kirito, Urahara Kazuki got in touch with Mr. Yamamoto. But if he faced that old man directly, he would not dare. Chapter 399. Transfer student. After the chat, with Kurosaki Ichigo and Rukia Kuchiki gone, Namikaze Kirito stayed overnight at the Urahara store. Don't worry about not having enough rooms here, after all, there is still a huge underground space. The only thing Namikaze Kirito can't sleep is that woman Yoruichi. When he obviously left from the 5th team, he still spoke so freely, but after he came to this world, the other party actually disappeared. It seems that incident made Yoruichi really unable to face him in a short period of time. With the memory of that day, Namikaze Kirito gradually closed his eyes. The next morning, Urahara Kazuki came early, even holding a doll that was exactly the same as Namikaze Kirito. Needless to say, it must be the skeleton of Namikaze Kirito. As long as the soul is sent into it, it will become a body in this world. Kirito-kun, this is the yogi I prepared specially for you. How is it? It's not bad. I even helped you put on your school uniform. Urahara Kazuki said with a smile, waving the fan in his hand. Kazuki, you're not a BT, are you? Namikaze Kirito walked around his skeleton, and then looked at Urahara Kazuki with a strange face. It's not because he is sensitive, but when he observed the skeleton in front of him, he found that it was exactly the same as his own body. Whether it's reminder or appearance, every detail is done lifelike. If Urahara Kazuki has never seen his body, no ghost will believe it. Kirito-kun, what you said is too hurtful. When you first came to me, all the data of your body have already existed in me. Don't worry, I never peeped, Urahara Kazuki. Promise, promise. You guy, this is the first time you've come here, and you even have body data. What else can you do if it's not BT? Namikaze Kirito reached out to take myself, and said angrily. You know, it must have been made by Urahara Kazuki himself. Although it's a fake body, Namikaze Kirito also has a chill that his whole body is seen by the other party. The way to enter regret is very simple, just like putting on clothes. When I opened my eyes again, there was no change in the surrounding area, and the power did not disappear. It's just that Zanpakuto can't be used anymore. After all, only the spirit state can be called Shinigami. Tisk tisk tisk, it's exactly the same, I'm really a genius. Advertisement. Namikaze Kirito was once again chilled by Urahara Kazuki's comments on the sidelines, and quickly changed the subject. This school uniform, are you going to let me go to Kurosaki Ichigo's school? Yes, after all, there are more acquaintances there, not to mention your face is also very suitable for high school students. Urahara Kazuki is right. Namikaze Kirito has great vitality, so no matter how old he is, he will not show his old age. Coupled with his handsome and fair face, even if he was a high school student, some people would believe him. The formalities have been completed. Now, Namikaze, this is your school bag. Remember to go to class on time. Urahara Kazuki took out a black school bag from nowhere and handed it to Kirito. At this moment, Kurosaki Ichigo just arrived. Brother Namikaze, the manager of Urahara asked me to take you to school, are you ready? Hearing Kurosaki Ichigo's call, Namikaze Kirito put his school bag on his back casually and walked out. He didn't know what Urahara Kazuki's idea was for him to go to school. But that doesn't stop him from enjoying the modern life. After walking out of the Urahara store, I saw Kurosaki Ichigo in a school uniform. Rukia Kuchiki did not follow him, probably because his classmates were afraid that they would think too much when they saw the two going up and down every day for 10 weeks. Brother Namikaze, this outfit suits you so well. Call me Kirito, you can't keep calling me that when you get to school. Then I'll call you Kirito-san. After a simple greeting, the two walked to the school together. Urahara Kazuki stood at the door with deep meaning in his eyes. Shop manager, is this really okay? Tessai Tsukabishi came to his side at some point and asked. Ah, Namikaze Kirito, his current attitude is unknown. I have always had a strange feeling, as if he should not appear in this world, plus he knows most of the secrets, so I plan to let him stay in this world. More fetters. Ichigo can unconsciously infect people around him and make them believe in him. I hope this ability can also work on Namikaze Kirito. It turned out to be like this. Tessai Tsukabishi suddenly realized. Ask for flowers. When he stayed up late yesterday to make the skeleton, he also asked Urahara Kazuki if he wanted to do a little bit of manipulation of the skeleton, even if it was a simple positioning function. But was rejected by Urahara Kazuki. Advertisement. As a person with extremely high IQ, he doesn't want to leave any grudges in Namikaze Kirito's heart at present. If Namikaze Kirito discovers the clues, Urahara Kazuki can't guarantee that he can come up with effective means to stop the opponent when the opponent's strength is unknown. Urahara Kazuki looked at the street in the distance and did not return to the store for a long time. On the other side, Kurosaki Ichigo has already checked in with Namikaze Kirito. It was already known yesterday that Namikaze Kirito will come to the school. As the teacher clapped his hands, the classroom returned to calm. Namikaze Kirito said politely, "Hello everyone, I am Namikaze Kirito who has just transferred from another school. I have been abroad before, and now I am back to school. I hope to get along well with everyone. Please give me your advice." As Namikaze Kirito walked into the classroom slowly, there was also a burst of exclamation. Why is it red hair, and it's still so long? Is it an entertainer? Compared with the noisy surroundings, Inoue and others, these friends of Kurosaki Ichigo were not too surprised. So handsome. I'm in love. The word, big brother, almost directly called, exit fan. This Namikaze classmate is really popular, right Orihime-chan? Yeah, Namikaze is, classmate, he is really popular. And Inoue Orihime is very excited, because in her opinion, with a strong person like Namikaze Kirito here, they can be safe. Kurosaki Ichigo doesn't have to do those dangerous things often. With the gentle and polite words and the smile that makes people feel like a spring breeze, in just a moment, most of the female students in the classroom have already fallen. 0. Honjo Chizuru with eyes on the side smiled and said to Inoue Orihime. Transfer student, after Kuchiki, there is another transfer student. Okay, everyone, stop arguing and let our transfer student introduce himself. Ishida Uryu pushed his glasses, wondering what he was thinking. Has this dangerous man come to this world again? Chapter 400. The White-Haired Boy. Orihime, you won't. Looking at Chizoru's pointed tone, Inoue Orihime was also in a cold sweat. She absolutely didn't want her good friends to know about Shinigami, Shu, and the like. If she didn't know, she might not be in danger. Could it be that you've fallen in love with Namikaze-san? Honjo Chizuru said for sure. Chizuru. Inoue Orihime breathed a sigh of relief, and patted her murder weapon. No, Orihime is mine. Honjo Chizuru hugged Inoue Orihime's neck, crying. Over there, be quiet. This act of acting like no one else was there directly reminded the teacher. Then he looked at Namikaze Kirito with a gentle face. Student Namikaze, you can sit in the seat over there. Namikaze Kirito didn't care about where he sat or went to school. He was always guessing what Urahara Kazuki was planning. After hearing what the teacher said, he walked to the back row, and it happened that there was still an empty seat next to the class discipline committee member, Arisawa Tatsuki. The teacher arranged this way because he wanted the most responsible person in the class to take care of the new students. After sitting in the seat, Arisawa Tatsuki took the initiative to extend his hand. Hello, Namikaze Tongren. My name is Arisawa Tatsuki, and I will be a classmate from now on. Please give me your advice. Hello, please give me your advice. Namikaze Kirito smiled softly. This smile directly turned the girls in the class who were staring at Namikaze Kirito into Nympho again, and even the teacher's eyes were about to pop out. Ahem. Then let's start class now, Namikaze. If you don't understand anything, you can come to the office and ask the teacher after class. After all, the day's class began. Looking at the teacher on the stage and the students around him, Namikaze Kirito couldn't help being in a trance. This scene is so similar to that on Blue Star. After all, it is also a modern society. Leaning on his chin with one hand, he quietly enjoyed the peace of the moment. Unconsciously, I have come to the third world, and I don't know how many worlds there will be in the future. The mysterious Will said that after the world was liberated, it would tell him part of the truth, and he didn't know what he would know. In the mess of thoughts, it will soon be time for lunch break. Advertisement. As soon as the get out of class bell rang, countless students surrounded Namikaze Kirito. This scene made Kurosaki Ichigo and others sweat. Especially Rukia Kuchiki, as a Shinigami, she has a serious concept of status. Seeing the most honorable captain being treated like this, she wanted to rush straight up. Fortunately, the picture that worried Kurosaki Ichigo did not appear. Namikaze Kirito answered all the questions from the students around him with a smile. It can be said that the popularity in the class has been raised all of a sudden. After seeing the classmates gradually disperse, Kurosaki Ichigo also stepped forward. Namikaze. Student, why don't we go to the rooftop for dinner? Okay. After all, Namikaze Kirito and his group left directly. Arisawa Tatsuki, Honjo Chizuru and others watched their leaving backs, wondering what they were thinking. Above the rooftop, this place is generally not open to the public. After all, if any student can't think about it, the school has to bear the responsibility. But for Kurosaki Ichigo, this is not a problem. Brother Namikaze, I really don't understand why that B********* D store manager asked you to come to class. Is there any trouble in this world? Or is there something wrong with Aizen? As for Namikaze Kirito staying in this world, it's not that Kurosaki Ichigo is disgusted, it's too late to be happy with the savior nearby, but these Soul Society captains, as long as they appear in this world, it means that there is something important to do occur. So if there is a big event, he can protect his family in advance. It's nothing, it's just that Soul Society is too boring. I want to relax in this world. Are you welcome? Hearing this, Kurosaki Ichigo breathed a sigh of relief, and then quickly said, how could it be? Brother Namikaze is my savior, without you. Boom. Just when Kurosaki Ichigo was speaking, something seemed to be triggered, and he froze in place. Ichigo. Ichigo-san. Rukia Kuchiki, Inoue Orihime and others shouted excitedly. They didn't know what happened to Kurosaki Ichigo. Only Namikaze Kirito's eyes narrowed slightly. He felt the power of the world. World order has arrived. Advertisement. Sure enough, at this moment, the door on the rooftop was opened, and a boy with white hair and white pupils walked over. He is also dressed as a student, but from his body, he can't feel the breath of human beings, or in other words, can't feel the breath of a living creature. Even Shu and Shinigami, as creatures, have breath, but the boy in front of him has no breath at all. In a split second, Rukia Kuchiki lifted the body and transformed into Shinigami, with Soda no Shirayuki drawn from the chest and waist. Inoue Orihime also waved his hands, and the hairpins on his hair turned into a few pocket figures floating in the air. Who are you? Rukia Kuchiki's beautiful eyes were full of vigilance. But the white-haired and white-eyed boy ignored Rukia Kuchiki's shout, but walked towards Kurosaki Ichigo on his own. After standing beside the ladder, he slowly stretched out a hand. First dance. Moon white. Rukia Kuchiki draws a circle with the blade, and the moonlight passes through the atmosphere from the sky to the circle, forming a cylindrical shape, completely occupying the space from the curve to the ground. The boy with white hair and white eyes was trapped in it, and the moonlight instantly hardened into an icicle. But a shocking scene appeared. The boy who should have been trapped in the icicle was able to move. More than that, his hand directly passed through the icicle, and put it on Kurosaki Ichigo's forehead. Bite, there was a flash of light, and Kurosaki Ichigo returned to normal. What's wrong with me? No. Who are you? As soon as he woke up and saw the boy in front of him, Kurosaki Ichigo 0.1 immediately backed away, and Yoshinori, who also escaped with him, took out the zanjetsu on his body and got ready to fight. What the hell is this man? Rukia Kuchiki's gaze was full of doubts. Logically speaking, she should have sensed whether her moves froze the opponent or not. The moonlight passed through the young man, obviously forming an icicle, but still allowing the other party to move. The young man seemed to have no physical existence. But he was standing on the ground again, which was just too strange. At this moment, the boy spoke, not so much talking, but talking to himself. He lowered his head and murmured, "Sure enough, you have real signs of life. It shouldn't be. Why did such an accident happen?" The boy's voice was ethereal, like the voice of a machine, without a trace of emotion.